Hello and what's up, GSC Pokemon Challenges fam? How you guys doing? We are back, episode 8 of the Jasmine Minimum Battle series. We are coming in with a ton of awesome challengers today. We've got 11 Pokemon to run through. Of course, we're starting off with our Victreebel. We've got our Golem. We've got Rapidash. We've got the entire Slowpoke line. Remember, Slowpoke did manage to get through Morty previously, but that was with it using rare candies. So it had to just blow through all of them at that point in order to get it to go. It was still very, very random, but it did actually manage to win there. I'm not sure it's getting through this section though. We're then going to follow up with Magnemite, Magneton. We've got Farfetch'd, we've got Flaafy, and we've got Ampharos. Now, this is a very, very mixed bag, but of course, I think any Pokemon that has Stab Surf is going to be pretty darn good against Jasmine as long as it can knock out those two Magnemites. And when you add on the fact that the Slowpoke line is going to be resistant against fighting type moves and they're going to be resistant against ice, I think all of the Slowpoke line will find a way through this section. I'm really worried today about our Golem. Golem might just get completely wrecked because every single gym leader is using super effective moves against it, including Chuck's Poliwrath probably wanting to use the move Surf. I'm not sure if he just has a random chance of using Mind Reader or something though and just punting on the fight, but if he goes Surf, I'm pretty sure Golem is destroyed. I'm also not super confident in Magnemite and Magneton because what are they going to do against Jasmine when they get to that Steelix? They're not going to have any good moves, even if we're going rare candies and maxed out power return or maybe, the hidden power dark there. I just don't think they're going to do enough damage, but I could be wrong. Finally, I'm really scared in this one for Farfetch'd just because it's kind of a mid-tier flying type. We've already seen Pidgey and Pidgeotto fail in this section, so it might be done as well. But anyway, place your predictions down below. Tell me how many of these Pokemon you think are going to get through. I'm just going to make my own personal prediction that we're looking at 7 out of these 11 getting through. I'm going to go hardcore and assume that 4 of these Pokemon fail. And if you look up at the member pick section, you'll notice a couple of new Pokemon up there. We have Venusaur and Cyndaquil added to the action, so I will be doing those 2 Pokemon in this episode. Probably be a really long episode, at least for me recording wise. But with that being said, let's get into this action, and I'm actually going to lead off with the 2 member picks that are brand new. Let's get to that Venusaur first. And up first for the member picks, we have HolyFatFish coming with his Charmusaur, a Venusaur that is going to be running the move Charm in the place of the move Growl. If you recall, Venusaur struggled against Honest Abe, but Charm might just be the solution because it could allow us to lower the attack stat of our opponent by 2 stages, which could significantly improve this Pokemon. Now, Charm is not usually available to the Bulbasaur line in Gen 2, but it was actually programmed into the game. There just simply wasn't another Pokemon to breed it with that would learn Charm, at least according to the Bulbapedia article that I'm looking at right now. Instead, what it can usually get are things like Light Screen, Petal Dance, Razor Wind, Safeguard, and Skull Bash, which all could be possibilities of things to check out if Charm itself is not enough here. But since we're already testing an Ancient Power Bulbasaur with the event move in this one, I thought it was a super interesting idea from HolyFatFish to try Charm strats with this Venusaur. Let's see if it actually works out. So we're going to pick this up right where we left off previously, where we were failing against Honest Abe, and let's see if Charm is enough to actually get through here. So first up, he leads off with a Spearow. We're going to give it a Charm here. We are slower than Spearow, which is a major issue, but now I'm going to set up the Leech Seed. We heal with the Berry, and we're just going to go for as many Charms as we can here first. Let's get its attack down as low as possible, and now start going into our tackles. At this point, it's doing 5 damage per hit, but we're healing back quite a bit as well, so we do in fact beat Honest Abe at this point just by having access to Charm on our Venusaur. We get to level 8, and now we can go take on Rod. I don't think he's going to be too hard. I think we're going to make our way straight to Falkner. And sure enough, we're to Falkner with no major issues, so let's get in this fight. My plan is to go Charm into Leech Seed and then just start tackling him down, but let's see if that's enough. First up, of course, Falkner has the Pidgey. I'm going to Charm it once, Now go for the Leech Seed. We got a nice Tackle Miss turn 1. I'm going to just keep going for some Charm here just to make sure. It appears that we're healing up fully as long as it doesn't get a critical hit. So as long as we get no crits here, we'll get to the Pidgeotto on full health, and we do. We get to level 10 right here. Now I'm going to Charm at the Pidgeotto before going for the Leech Seed, and then we're going to just spam the rest of our charms here. Now I did not put on a berry coming into this one, which I think was already a massive mistake, but still we might be able to get through just with the charm and Leech Seed. Sure enough, we didn't even need the berry. We get to level 11 right there and defeat Falkner. So that section goes from being really terrible to being actually quite easy with the charm plus Leech Seed strats. But now we have to get to the next section, which could be really hard because we have to defeat rival number 2 and Bugsy. And while we don't have like a weakness to bug type here, we also don't have a resistance to it. And I'm not sure if this strategy is going to work against the Fury Cutter spam that we're likely to face in the next section. We might need a really timely Fury Cutter miss if we're going to have any shot here. And here inside of Bugsy's gym, we actually level up and get to learn the move Sleep Powder, which I'm actually just going to replace Charm with right here, with the entire logic being that Sleep Powder should allow us to get through fights just by getting Sleep Luck. And at that point, I don't really think we need the charm anymore. I think that Tackle is too important to forget here because of the fact that it will be our neutral damage dealing move against a lot of opponents. And Vine Whip is our same type attack move at this point, and we don't learn another one until level 22 where we get access to Razor Leaf. So personally, I think this is the best play, but again, tell me if you think I'm wrong in the comments. But with this strategy ready to go, I think I'm going to go straight into the Bugsy fight here because I think I can just break up the Fury Cutter by putting him to sleep, put on the Leech Seed, and then just try to whittle him down with a bunch of tackles. Let's see how this goes. So first up on Bugsy, of course, he leads off with the Metapod. I'm just going to Leech Seed this Pokemon. He goes for a String Shot. We're still faster at this point, and I'm trying to put the Metapod to sleep just to make sure that we can avoid damage and get to the next Pokemon on full health, and it appears that that will be the case. We get to level 16 as the Kakuna comes out. I'm just going to Leech Seed this Pokemon as well. It's not like Poison Sting is anything to write home about. So really, we can just go Tackle here. Anything less than a critical hit, we're just going to heal back all the damage anyway. Finally, that brings out Scyther, where we're once again going to Leech Seed this Pokemon. And now we're going to try to put it to sleep as it starts using Fury Cutter. And while it's asleep, we can just tackle and do chip damage with the Leech Seed. It's not like we're doing a ton of damage here, but we're gonna get through on the first attempt and get to level 17 just because he couldn't do anything back against us. Sleep plus Leech Seed is actually a pretty good combo in the Pokemon games because you're simultaneously healing your Pokemon while preventing their Pokemon from doing anything for numerous turns, and if they wake up, you usually have already recovered enough HP to just put them back to sleep. But with that done, now we have to take on the rival. I am going to give a berry just in case here because I think it could be really important since we're going to be up against Quilava, but let's see how it goes. So rival 2 attempt number 1, I'm going Sleep Powder immediately on Ghastly and now going for the Leech Seed. And the only move we have that can affect it is Vine Whip, so we're just going to use that. We get a critical hit that did a lot of damage, and we knock it out on the next turn, getting to Quilava on full health. Now for Quilava, we actually outspeed. We are a fully evolved Pokemon. That definitely helps. And now we can set up Leech Seed on this Pokemon as well and start going into Tackle just to chip it down. Of course, we can get Tackle misses 5% of the time. People from new generations with 100% accurate Tackle don't know the struggle of early gen Pokemon. But here we managed to still take that Pokemon down on full health. We get to the Zubat. It's not like it uses anything super scary against us, so we'll just Leech Seed it, put it to sleep, and then start tackling it down. And this is going to be an incredibly easy fight to get through for our Venusaur. Really, it seems like it's just the Falkner fight that was a major wall for this one. Once you get through that, and particularly Honest Abe, this Pokemon's really not too bad. So without too much trouble, we've made it to Whitney, and now it's time to just see if we can actually manage to beat her. We already beat everything in the underground, so that's already done. We are coming in at level 20 here for this fight. I think we're slower than Miltank, but we might just have a chance here. Of course, against the first Clefairy, we're faster. I'm just going to put this Pokemon to sleep and Leech Seed it. We can see we've got 69 HP here, so it's basically guaranteed that we're going to win unless we get really bad luck. luck, we'll just put this Pokemon back to sleep so we can keep healing off of it, and then use Vine Whip to finish it off. Out next comes the Miltank, and we are slower than this Pokemon. It starts using Rollout. We have to go Sleep Powder right here. Now we're going to Leech Seed that Pokemon and start going into Vine Whip to deal some damage. Now it goes for Rollout when it wakes up, and I don't think it's going to deal enough damage, so I just let it stick with that. I didn't try to put it back to sleep, and sure enough, we win, and we end with full health at level 21. And we're already up to having 47 speed, so as long as we gain 1 level against the Kimono Girls, we should already outspeed the Haunter on the Rival 3 team. The question is just, can we knock it out with our current moves, or are we going to need to upgrade somehow? We will get Razor Leaf, which is going to be a pretty significant upgrade over Vine Whip. The question is simply, will that be enough for the Haunter and the Magnemite, who are going to resist all of our moves? We certainly won't know until we get there, so I'm just going to go beat up on the Kimono Girls and then try out the Rival. And as we prepare to come into Rival 3, we're actually at level 24 right here, so at a pretty decent level, and we're definitely going to outspeed everything. The question is just damage. Let's get into this fight and find out how it works. So first off, of course, he has the Haunter. We're going to put this Pokemon to sleep. Let's see what the range is with the Razor Leaf here. That did about 16 damage. So this will be a 4-hit KO without a crit. Of course, we have a high critical hit chance with this move, and we do manage to take down the Haunter with no curse or any other damage at this point. We're also going to be faster than Quilava. We do need to put this Pokemon to sleep, though. I'm then going to also Leech Seed it just to be safe. Leech Seed has a 10% chance to miss, and we missed 3 times in a row here, which is just ridiculous. That's like a 1 in 1,000 chance. Still, we finally get it back to sleep, and we can Leech Seed it now. We get a nice critical hit Razor Leaf, and we just have to keep this Pokemon asleep enough turns, and we should be able to get through it. Sure enough, we do. That brings out the Magnemite now, which we put to sleep. We obviously don't want to see a whole bunch of Sonic Booms here, so I'm just going to try to keep it asleep while we use the Razor Leaf to knock it out. Fortunately, it doesn't have great special defense, so we knock it out with a couple Razor Leafs there as we get to level 25. Now, we've got finally the Rival's Zubat. It confuses us with Supersonic, but we get it to sleep. Now I'm going to Leech Seed it. We even snap out of confusion nice and quick. Now we can just go for Tackle since Leech Seed is 4 times resisted here, and we knock him out easily on the first attempt with no issues. And honestly, we're pretty close to being able to outspeed against the Gengar, so if we just gain a level here in the next gym, it might at least be a speed tie. I'm gonna have to see, but we're just gonna go beat up these randos and find out. If it does look kind of questionable, we'll go down south to the lighthouse, but I'm not sure that's gonna be necessary. And sure enough, as we come into the Morty fight, we'll actually be faster than the Gengar here, so I don't think we need a Mint Berry. I think we just need to go in here and get Sleep Luck, and we should be able to win, but let's find out. Now, what I don't expect is to 1-hit KO anything here with Razor Leaf without a critical hit, so I am going for Sleep Powder on literally everything, and we get paralyzed by the first Ghastly. That's like the worst case scenario here, and now fully paralyzed. I just don't think we're going to be able to deal enough damage. Sure, we get through the first Pokemon, but we're just going down after that because of the speed drop from paralysis. Let's try for a little bit better luck than that. Next attempt, we do manage to get Ghastly to sleep, and it's just going to be a 2-hit KO with the Razor Leaf, so that's perfectly fine. Haunter comes out next. We have to put this one to sleep too to avoid some curse. And this looks like a 3-hit KO. We get a Razor Leaf miss there, which is kind of unlucky, but then a crit. So we knock it out on the next turn. That's perfectly fine. We outspeed Gengar and put it to sleep. Now Razor Leaf is really not doing that much. I'm going to set up Leech Seed because it's highly likely this Pokemon will wake up. We get a nice crit there though, and we get to knock it out on the next turn. So we get to the final Haunter with no curse on. We can put this one to sleep, and now this should be a 3-hitter. Sure enough, we're just whittling it down as it stays asleep, so we basically turned Morty's strategies against him by putting him to sleep instead of letting him put us to sleep. It's just perfect. And with that, Venusaur has legitimately made it to the section where we're currently at in this run. And honestly, without a couple of just random resets due to kind of bad luck, we would be just cruising in this section. So I think we're good to go. I'm going to make my way down to Chuck first in this one rather than going straight over to the Rocket Hideout, just because we have, type resistances against fighting type. We've got a super effective move against his Poliwrath. I think this is going to be okay. Now I will just go up the lighthouse for the sake of simplicity with my routing, since we're going to have to come back and talk to Jasmine at some point anyway. I don't expect this part to be too hard. We'll have to just avoid some roars here, but that shouldn't be too difficult to get through because we've got sleep strats. Now, we could learn Sweet Scent here, but I'm not going to learn this move. We already have the TM if we really want it. But for now, I think the best strategy is simply to go with the moves that we currently have on the moveset. If anything, we'll probably want to replace Tackle at some point, but I don't foresee us forgetting Razor Leaf for quite a while. And now as we come into Chuck's gym, of course, we've got to take on the Black Belt Bros, but we outspeed here. We can simply put these Pokemon to sleep. And while, yes, they have higher special defense in this generation, critical hit Razor Leaf still just does massive damage. So we take down the first Hitmonlee super easy. Now it's time for the Hitmonchan, but I think it's going to be more of the same here. We can even Leech Seed just to regain a little bit of HP. Like, its Fire Punch did do decent damage, so we're just going to put it back to sleep after that. Let the Razor Leaf do its thing as we just slowly whittle this one down. And with that, I just expect no further issues against any of these randos, so let's make our way straight to Chucky Boy. And Chuck's going to throw rocks at us because he's so angry we're not using Ancient Power here, but we honestly just don't need it. We can come in here and put his Primeape to sleep and then just start going Razor Leaf, and we get a critical hit one-shot. Out comes the Poliwrath. I'm just going straight for Razor Leaf here. It does not one-hit KO. It's a two-hitter, but he misses the Hypnosis, so we win on the first attempt anyway. So very nice. HolyFatFish does not care at all about Chuck, just completely destroys him, even goes out to talk a little trash about Chucky Boy with his wife. And with that, we can now make our way back up to Olivine. I'm just going to try Jasmine one time. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to beat her or not. It's probably going to come down to a little bit of luck on those Magnemites if I have to guess. We could learn the move Mud Slap. I'm just not sure that we need to. There are a lot of these spots where if we have Sleep and we have at least a decent same type move with Razor Leaf, we might just be doing enough damage to get a 2 or 3 hit KO on them anyway, and then it's just a matter of them staying asleep. Add on that we definitely outspeed everything, and we've got neutral damage when we get to that Steelix. I think we're gonna do just fine, but let's see if that actually works. I will give a Paralyzed Cure Berry here just to be safe though. So Jasmine, attempt number 1. We're going straight for Sleep Powder on the first Magnemite. It stays asleep. Let's see what the damage range is here. Razor Leaf does about a third, so this is going to be a 3-hit KO without a crit from the looks of things. Sure enough, we get it on the first Magnemite. Steelix comes out second. We can put this Pokemon to sleep. I'm going to hit it with a Leech Seed, and now let's go for the Razor Leaf. And yet again, this looks like it's probably a 3-hit KO without a crit. She goes for the Iron Tail, but then just gets knocked out by the Leech Seed the next turn. So we get to the final Magnemite still on green health. We put it to sleep, and now we're just going back into our Razor Leaf spam. It goes for the Supersonic to confuse me, but I don't really care about that because we're on the final Pokemon anyway. We just knock it out in a couple more turns, and Jasmine was no issue for our Venusaur. Sleep Powder plus Leech Seed plus Razor Leaf. It's just far too powerful for that Pokemon, even without going to the Rocket Hideout. Venusaur is kind of OP at this point. And now there's nothing left to do in this section but go take on the Team Rocket members, who shouldn't be much of a difficulty for us, and then take on Pryce, against whom we have super effective moves against all of his Pokemon, and we're guaranteed to outspeed there. They're not fast Pokemon by any means. So I think Sleep plus Razor Leaf just completely crushes, but let's see if that's actually the case. Of course, I don't expect anything in the Rocket Hideout to be much of a challenge, given that we're at such a high level at this point. Like, honestly, if we don't hit ourselves in confusion like 50 times, we'll win against these rando trainers. So I think we make it straight to the final rocket in this section. And sure enough, in spite of the fact that there are plenty of Pokemon down here that resist Razor Leaf, it just doesn't matter. We keep them asleep enough turns, and Leech Seed heals us enough that we don't really care. So we've made it to the final executive here in the Rocket Hideout, and I think this one's going to be pretty easy too, but we'll have to see about that Murkrow. First off, of course, she leads off with Arbok. We're going to put this Pokemon to sleep nice and easy, hit it with a Leech Seed, and then we can even go for Razor Leaf here just because it's technically the stronger move, even when it's 2 times resisted, thanks to the same type attack bonus plus the chance to crit. So we get through the Arbok super easy. Out next comes the Murkrow. We're going to put this one to sleep as well. I'll Leech Seed it, just to be safe in case it wakes up, and now go for Razor Leaf yet again because 2 times resistance doesn't really matter to us that much, and we knock it out with just a couple Razor Leafs. Finally, on the Gloom, it can't really do anything. It's going to drop Acid, but we're just going to tackle this Pokemon down, and it's a 3-hit KO. It was never in question as we get to level 35. And with that, we just have to beat Pryce, and we're going to be done with this one. HolyFatFish, man, the idea to give this Pokemon Charm was a really good one. You've just been crushing with Charmusaur this entire time. Let's see if we just finish it off on a nice high note here on Pryce as well. Maybe we get a bunch of 1-hit KOs. Let's find out. So of course he leads off with the Seal. I'm just gonna go Razor Leaf on this one, and we get the 1-hitter right there. Out comes Dugong next. I'm just gonna go all in on attack here. Razor Leaf does not get the 1-hitter. We get Aurora Beamed, but it didn't do that much, so we just knock out Dugong the next turn. Piloswine comes out next. We do well over half with the first Razor Leaf, and then it goes for Miss. Now he's going for Hyper Potions. If we don't get a Miss from Razor Leaf, I'll called it. We will actually win. So yeah, that was super easy. Charmusaur completely destroys this section of the game. And now as we go into Claire in the next part of this challenge, like, as long as we can outspeed, which I'm pretty sure we will, we're just going to be able to put things to sleep and then completely wreck them. Like, this could be super easy as long as we get the right sleep luck. We'll just have to see how it actually works out. But for now, HolyFatFish, thank you very much for joining as a new channel member and supporting this Venusaur. You're moving on. But now that brings us to our second channel member pick that also sends us back to the start of the game. It's time for Cyndaquil, which has been picked up by new channel member Flamerai. Lil Flame is coming into this section with a moveset of Flamethrower, Rollout, Defense Curl, and Dig. And I think this makes a lot of sense. Number one, it gives us really good type coverage. We've got the Defense Curl Rollout strat already on this Pokemon, but even more importantly, we saw how much the Quilava struggled in this first Falkner section. These Pokemon can get to Falkner just fine. The issue is beating him with all of his Mud Slap spam. Defense Curl serves a little bit of double duty by allowing us to both raise our defense and use a more powerful rollout, though Flamethrower might be enough since it is our strongest same type move effectively, at least in terms of something that will always be 100% accurate. We wouldn't really want to move like Fire Blast here since that would have a pretty high chance to miss. And honestly, I think that once Cyndaquil gets through the Falkner gym, it's gonna be just fine. So let's get straight to the gym leader where we left off last time and see how this actually goes. Now, I will not learn Smokescreen in this one, even though it is a level up move, because I don't think it's really legitimate to start replacing the moves that the channel member gave this early in the run. I replaced Charm in the last one because honestly, it was just the best play going forward. But for this one, these moves are gonna be really strong on this Pokemon for a really long time. We're gonna want to keep Dig for Morty. We're gonna want to keep, of course, Flamethrower forever. And then Defense Curl Rollout kind of solves everything else. So I think this is going to be a pretty good run, but of course we are doing a first stage Pokemon, so there is always the chance that we're just not bulky enough to survive a hit. We'll just have to see how this goes. And of course we get to Falkner perfectly fine, so it's just time to see, can we go all in on Flamethrower or do we need to go for the Defense Curl Rollout strat? Let's get into this and find out. So for the first attempt here, I'm just going to go all in on Flamethrower. I'm going to see if this move will do enough damage. It one-shots the Pidgey, allowing us to get to level 10 as the Pidgeotto comes out, and we're actually faster here on max DVs, so we can go for Flamethrower on this one as well. This looks like a 2-hitter, it just goes for Gust, so we easily beat Falkner on the first attempt. Once you give this Pokemon Flamethrower, no need to even mess around with Rollout. We'll think about that later when we get to Rival 2, but for now, we're just gonna run with this Flamethrower for a while. It's gonna completely destroy Bugsy's gym, so I think this is going to be pretty darn good, but let's just see how this actually works out. So Bugsy attempt number 1 right here, he's going to lead off with the Metapod, of course. We're going to go Flamethrower and just one-shot that Pokemon. We get to level 16 as Kakuna comes out and also gets completely wrecked, and now Scyther, I'm just going for the Flamethrower. It goes for Fury Cutter, but who cares? This is a 2-hit KO. He just easily goes down on the first attempt as we even get to level 17, and now we're ready to go take on rival number 2. And this is the first time I think we might want to go Defense Curl Rollout, just because we are going to be dealing with the Croconaw here. And with our type weakness, we might have our best chance of getting through by just building up that Rollout in order to one-hit KO it. Let's see how this goes. So first up against Ghastly, I'm going to go Defense Curl here and then go into Rollout. And it looks like this is going to be a 2-hit KO. It licks me, but we didn't get paralyzed, fortunately. And now we just one-hit KO Croconaw with a critical hit. And we're still using Rollout as Zubat comes out and it gets completely wrecked. But even if we missed, I think Flamethrower would just wreck that Pokemon after that. So the rival goes down super easy. No questions about that one. Now, of course, we have to deal with Whitney, though. She will be going Rollout, which is super effective. Still, if we can just build up our Defense Curl Rollout first, I think we're going to get the victory, but let's see how it actually goes. And of course, we get to Whitney with no issues, so it's time for our first attempt here. I think the strategy is Defense Curl into Rollout here. Let's just go for it and see. We go Defense Curl first on Clefairy. Now we're going Rollout. We're going to start building up the move. We get a 2-hit KO right there. Miltank comes out and goes Rollout. We heal with our Berry and survive its second Rollout, allowing us to just easily knock it out and get to level 21. And with Jasmine completely destroyed, we're ready to move on towards Morty and rival number 3. We're pretty close to being able to outspeed that Haunter yet again, and as long as we can outspeed and use Dig there, I'm pretty sure we're going to get a pretty easy win. But let's just see how it actually works out. And outside of the Vaporeon Kimono Girl, we had no issues there. The Vaporeon, you just have to hit all the rollouts and you will manage to get through. It's a 3-hit KO, but it's also 3-hit KOing you with Water Gun. So that one requires a little bit of luck. The rest of the Kimono Girls were just a joke. And now we're ready to make our way to the rival, already faster than everything on his team. So this should just be a matter of building up our moves. But let's see how it actually works out. First off, of course, he's got the Haunter. I'm going for Dig here. He goes for Curse, and we do not get a 1-hit KO with Dig, so that's already kind of bad. Now we're going to have to go for the Rollout here, and that just tells me that we probably should just set up Defense Curl, go into Rollout on the first Haunter. Let's see how this goes. So this time I'm going Defense Curl first as he goes Curse. We miss the Rollout. I think that's already game over on this one. Of course, we even get a second Rollout miss, so that first one was just really bad luck. Let's try this again. This time we hit both Rollouts. We're to the Croconaw. We don't quite get a 1-hit KO, and it did massive damage with the Water Gun, but then we just 1-hit KO the Zubat, and we don't take any curse damage on the turns that we are able to 1-hit KO an opponent. Magnemite comes out next. We just go Flamethrower, and just like that, we beat the rival on the second attempt. No need to go down to the lighthouse with this overpowered moveset, but it is pretty darn close, so you're going to be possibly resetting there for quite a while. Still, we have made it through and we're ready to go to the gym, where I think Dig's going to be pretty good against the Ghastlies. We'll have to see how it actually works against that Gengar. Now we get to Morty. We're not actually going to be faster than the Gengar, but we might just need a Hypnosis miss. If we can build up the Rollout enough, we might just 1-hit KO sweep the rest of the team after the first Ghastly. So let's just see how this actually goes. So my strategy here, instead of going for Dig, I'm actually going to go for Defense Curl. I'll let it curse me. That's perfectly fine. And I'll just Rollout to knock that Pokemon out. The Haunter also gets 1-hit KO'd. That brings out the Gengar. It misses Hypnosis and we 1-hit KO it. We get to level 28 as the final Haunter comes out and just gets destroyed. So yeah, Morty, he's no issue. Defense Curl Rollout is 100% the strategy there to just make him look like an absolute bum. But now with that done, we're a fire type in this next section. I think our best play is to go to Jasmine first, and let's just see if we can actually manage the victory. And after a quick fetch quest, of course, we can get Jasmine to go back to her gym. I'm just interested to see how this works with the Flamethrower. Even at a relatively low level, I think this is going to be OP. Let's find out. So Jasmine attempt number 1, we go Flamethrower on the first Magnemite and 1-hit KO it. Steelix comes out next. We stick with the Flamethrower, doing over half as it goes for Rock Throw. We just get to knock it out the next turn. Even if she used the Hyper Potion, we were just going to knock her out in 2 turns anyway. And the final Magnemite gets completely wrecked. So Jasmine never stood a chance against our Cyndaquil. Lil Flame is really crushing this section of the game so far, but now we have to make some decisions, and I think the best choice is to go to the Rocket Hideout and then go take on Pryce, and then backtrack to actually take on Chuck, just because we are going to be dealing with the fact that at best we're being hit by neutrally effective moves. But of course, if we get hit by Surf, it's going to be super effective. And with our low stats as a first stage Pokemon, that just might not work out. And even with a Cyndaquil, I just don't expect to have any troubles here in the Rocket Hideout. Let's get straight to the final battle. As usual, it's no issue to get to the final executive, so let's just destroy her nice and quick. She leads off with Arbok. I'm just going to go for Flamethrower here. This is going to be a 2-hit KO, but it's still a super easy victory. Out next comes the Murkrow. We'll just stick with the same Flamethrower. It gets a 1-hit KO, and of course Gloom doesn't stand a chance here. It gets completely wrecked. We get to level 33 as we defeat that executive, and now we're ready to go take on Pryce. So it's time for our first attempt at the so-called 7th gym leader, though I think he should be demoted to like 4th. Let's see how he actually goes here. He leads off with the Seal, of course. I'm just going to Defense Curl and Rollout on this one, since our Flamethrower is just going to be neutrally effective on the Dugong, whereas Rollout will be super effective. We actually miss here, so we're going to have to set up the Rollout again. Still, we two-shot that Pokemon. Piloswine comes out. We miss again. Now we'll go for the Flamethrower, though. It nearly gets the 1-hit KOs. It just goes for Fury Attack. And when he goes for the Hyper Potion, he's already just punting on this battle. We get the easy victory as we get to level 34. And now we're ready to go take on Chuck. It's a little bit of a roundabout way to get there, but coming to take on Pryce does get us that badge boost in special attack and makes us just a little bit stronger there as we try to take Chuck down. I'm pretty sure later on in this video, Rapidash is basically going to be following the same strategy here, though of course Rapidash won't have as strong a fire type move as Flamethrower, so we're going to have to see how that actually works out. Flamethrower, even on a really weak fire type Pokemon, is just completely OP for this section of the game. We might end up running into a wall later on just because we'll have stronger and stronger opponents to deal with, especially when we get to somebody like Lance. This might not be enough, but we'll just have to see when we actually get there. For now, it's time to get into Chucky Boy's gym. Of course, we have to take out the Black Belt Bros, so Flamerai, let's see if you can manage to actually win here. I think our best strategy is just to stick with the Flamethrower, though. It's going to be a 2-hit KO on this first Hitmonlee, and that's going to bring out the Hitmonchan that doesn't have nearly as strong a move, so I think we're getting through these two just fine. And with them done, now we can get to the rest of the trainers down here, which I don't think are going to be super difficult, so let's make our way straight to Chucky Boy. But now it's time for Chuck, and this might be our first real test. I think we might want to go Defense Curl Rollout here and start setting it up on the Primeape. I'm not entirely sure, but that's going to be my strategy to start. Let's just see if this will actually work though. So Chucky Boy, attempt number 1, Defense Curl. He goes Rage. We're going to go Rollout, which of course will build up Rage here, but it looks like Rollout will be a 3-hit KO, but then we miss on the Primeape. That was terrible luck. If we manage to hit everything, I think we can 1-hit KO the Poliwrath. Here, though, just the 3rd turn of Rollout is not enough. We're going to need better luck than that. So Chuck's second attempt, we once again get a Rollout miss, which is just terrible. Still, we managed to knock out the Primeape in 3 hits, and then just miss the Rollout on the Poliwrath. So yet again, we're going to need more luck than that to get through. Maybe 3rd time's the charm as we get to Poliwrath. We do pretty decent damage, but Surf is just way too strong here. So this does not appear to be working. With that being said, I'm not sure that Dig is actually that necessary anymore. So I'm going to replace that move with Headbutt because we will be faster than the Poliwrath and we might just need really good flinch luck here. Let's try this out. So in this case, on the Primeape, I'm just going to go for Flamethrower. This is a 1-hit KO with a crit. Very nice. Out comes the Poliwrath. I go Headbutt here, and we get the flinch. We can see that Headbutt did about 25 damage here, so it's a 4-hit KO. But flinches will give us a chance here at least. We can survive against 1 Surf, and we'll need 1 more flinch to get through. So not ideal, but I do think that this one is possible. This time we do get 2 flinches, and we just managed to knock out Chuck on the next attempt. So Headbutt strats definitely are the play there with this Cyndaquil. I don't think many other moves are going to get it through at that point. I mean, obviously maxed out power return would do more damage, but it doesn't have the chance of getting the flinch unless we of course went for the King's rock with that. And outside of that, there just aren't a whole lot of other moves for us to learn at this point. I mean, we could go Mud Slap strats to try to get lucky, but really that's about it. So I think that was the best strategy that we could come up with there in order to actually get through. But hey, Flamerai, after you gave this moveset to Cyndaquil, it really didn't struggle with anything until it got to Chuck. That doesn't bode so great for it as we get into the Claire fight, but we may be able to build up the rollouts enough before we get to the Kingdra that it doesn't matter. So we'll just have to test that out when we get there. For now, you're moving on. Thank you so much for joining the channel membership and supporting this Pokemon that failed all the way back on Falkner. With that, we've got 2 more Pokemon that are still in the running. And of course, if you would like to support the channel memberships are the best way to do that. And you can submit your picks via the link down below. Now, the thing you have to be careful about with submitting picks is that if you use the YouTube URL that includes your handle, the @ plus your name, that doesn't work with my website. And the reason it doesn't work is because YouTube doesn't actually let us download that data. Instead, you have to go to your channel link, which you get by clicking on the menu on the top right on YouTube and going to YouTube Studio. Then go to Customize, and in that menu, you can find your channel's URL. That's the one that you need to put in order to get it to actually work. And it's just because that's the only data that YouTube actually shares to me that I can then put into my website to make the whole thing work. So yeah, it's just kind of what it is. It's going to be jank because YouTube does not let us use the members API, which is kind of annoying. I don't understand why they block that one API unless you're a managed channel, which means you have to, be part of an MCN or something, which I'm never going to do. So yeah, sorry for the jank, guys, but you're just going to kind of have to deal with it. If you ever have a question, what is the proper link? Just drop me a comment, or do like HolyFatFish did. He wrote me an email. The email is also linked on my channel page, so you can always just send me an email and I will follow as quickly as I possibly can. Anyway, with that done, it is now time to get into our proper challenge for today. We're going to lead off with our Victreebel. So now coming in with our Victreebel, we're running Razor Leaf, Sleep Powder, Sweet Scent, and Vine Whip. Honestly, based on what we've already seen with the Venusaur, I think we're going to get through just fine. I'm actually going to make my way down to Chucky Boy first, just because I think he's going to be not too bad to get through in this section, and then we can use Fly to get around much more quickly. However, again, I will go just meet up with Jasmine real quick just for efficiency in my routing so that I take a little less time on this, but I don't think that anything in the lighthouse is actually required to be able to go down and beat Chuck. We'll just have to see how it actually works though. So of course, as we come into the gym, we'll take on the Black Belt Bros just to see how they go. Against the Hitmonlee, we'll just go Razor Leaf. It looks like this is going to be maybe a 3 or 4 hit KO, funny enough. And we're taking pretty decent damage here. I'm actually kind of surprised by that, but hey, we can just put this Hitmonchan to sleep and then we should get through just fine. And here we actually get a critical hit, so we get a nice range. It's going to be a 3-hitter still on that Pokemon, but we get to level 30, no real issues after that. And sure enough, we get through to Chucky Boy just fine, and here we're already at level 31. Let's just see how this goes. He's of course going to lead off with his Primeape. We're just going to put this thing to sleep, and we miss. Let's try that again. I'm pretty sure this Primeape is a 2-hit KO with Razor Leaf. Might even be a 3-hit KO based on that range. And sure enough, it is. So that's not looking great. I think we have to put Poliwrath to sleep as well. It fortunately stays asleep at least turn 1, and then we get a critical hit to 1-hit KO it. Yes, he has the full heal, but it's really just about being able to deal damage. In the turn he uses a full heal, of course, he cannot damage us or use hypnosis on us to try to get some sort of range. So sure enough, that's the easy way to get through there. Now with that being said, the ranges that I've been seeing so far with Victreebel make me far less confident with this Pokemon than what we were seeing previously with our Venusaur. It seems like we're not quite doing as much damage. So I want to make my way over to the Lake of Rage and to the Rocket Hideout to gain just an extra level or 2, because I think just trying to take on Pryce here is actually the best play. Now, of course, we do manage to get to the final Rocket Executive here with no issues, but it hasn't been entirely easy because we've been dealing with the fact that this Victreebel has a lot of Pokemon down here that just 4 times resist its attacking moves. We could learn something like Cut or even Return here in order to deal neutral damage in those cases, And Sludge Bomb is also technically available in this section. I'm just not sure if it's actually useful, but honestly, we just don't have much of a move pool outside of that. So we're going to be in some kind of tough situations here. And of course, I had to reset there just due to a routing error. But as we take our second attempt against the Executive, we're just going to go for the Razor Leaf after putting this Arbok to sleep. Looks like it's going to be a 3-hit KO to take that one down. Now on Murkrow, we absolutely need to sleep this Pokemon. It finally goes to sleep on the 3rd try. Now we can Razor Leaf, but again, this is going to be a 3-hit KO without a crit. We do get the crit to get a 2-hitter there though. And now on Gloom, we just don't really have anything good either. It's dropping Acid, and I'm not sure if Razor Leaf is going to do enough. It's going to be maybe a 6-hit KO here without critical hits. And Acid is doing pretty decent damage, but I do think we'll win the damage race unless it gets a bunch of crits itself. So we actually do manage to win there, but still, it's not pretty getting through this section with a Victreebel. Still, with that done, we can now make our way out of the gym and over to Pryce. Let's just see how he goes. But here I am actually going to just go ahead and learn the move Sludge Bomb because I think that it's good to at least have a coverage move here. Sure, it won't do anything against Jasmine, but it will help later on, and I don't really think we need Vine Whip and Razor Leaf on the moveset, so let's just add this on so that we can use our higher physical attack stat as well. But with that, let's take on Pryce attempt number 1 and just see how he goes. Of course, he's going to lead off with the Seal. I'm going Razor Leaf here. That's going to be an easy 1-hit KO. Dugong comes out next. I'm actually going to sleep this Pokemon just to be safe, and then Razor Leaf with a crit does take it down. Piloswine, we don't really want to get hit by the Blizzard, so I'm going to try to put it to sleep as well, as it just goes missed turn 1, and then Razor Leaf looks to be a 2-hit KO, so as long as we don't miss here, we'll just knock it out. Sure enough, we even get the crit, so we get to level 35 after beating Pryce. But with that done, now we have to go and take on Jasmine, and Razor Leaf is our best move there. We just have to hope for the sleep luck and to hit enough Razor Leafs to take that Steelix down. Venusaur had higher special attack, I believe, which is why it had better ranges in this section, as opposed to this Victreebel that's more of a physical attacker, but then doesn't really learn any physical moves. Of course, if it were a Weepinbell, I believe it would get Acid via level up, but because Victreebel learns no new moves via level up, it's just stuck with what it's got. And I kind of expect at some point Sweet Scent will go and we'll throw on Return there, but I'm counting Return as an OPTM basically until we get to the league. That's when I'm just going to start using it freely, but I'm still going to just kind of avoid it unless I absolutely need it, because I don't want every Pokemon just going return strats. But that's something for a later video. For now, we have made it to Jasmine. Let's see if we can actually manage to get through here, since we don't really have any other options. So Jasmine attempt number 1, we're going to put this first Magnemite to sleep, and now Razor Leaf does a little less than half. It wakes up and goes for the Thunder Wave, and yes, I should have put on a Paralyzed Cure Berry coming into this one. Regardless, we're going to get a 3-hit KO on that Pokemon though. Steelix comes out next. It goes Iron Tail and does a lot of damage, and I believe we're just going down right here. And sure enough, we lose the first attempt. So let's fix that mistake by putting on a Paralyzed Cure Berry here and just see how this goes after that. So here we can still put the Magnemite to sleep. We'll go for the Razor Leaf. This looks like it could be a 2-hit KO range. It probably just depends a little bit on luck and damage rolls. Here against the Steelix, it's still going to do massive damage with the Iron Tail, so we have to put it to sleep so that we can now go for Razor Leaf. This looks like a 3-hitter without a crit. She's gonna Hyper Potion right there, but if we can just get 1 crit here, we should be able to knock it out in just a couple turns. It wakes up but misses Iron Tail, so we just put it back to sleep and then knock it out after that. That brings out the final Magnemite. We put it to sleep and we can go for the Razor Leaf, and this one looks like it's going to be a 3-hitter. We actually get the 2-hit range, so we sure enough get through on the second attempt there. It's just not perfectly consistent, and it's not quite as good as what we were dealing with the Venusaur, because Venusaur was getting a little bit of healing from that Leech Seed while also dealing more damage. So yeah, Victreebel, it gets through. It's just not great, but definitely better than some of the contenders that we've had so far. And it's time to check in on one of those contenders that might also join the category of not very good in this section. It's time for Golem. So as we come in with our Golem, we're running Rock Throw, Defense Curl, Rollout, and Magnitude. Magnitude could be our saving grace against Jasmine. I'm just not sure how we do against anything else in this section. I'm really nervous. I'm going to go straight to the Rocket Hideout first because I think that's the easiest way for us to progress. and we're just going to have to hope that that is enough. It's also worth noting that Pryce is the only place where we're going to have super effective moves against at least one of the Pokemon, and if we can build up that defense curl rollout enough, we can probably win, but it's going to be really up in the air. Now, fortunately, Golem does get through everything in the Rocket Hideout nice and easy, so we've made it to the final executive. She does have a Gloom, which is a little scary if we can't KO it quickly, so let's just see how this goes. I'm going to lead off in this one with Rollout, just trying to build up the move because I think this is the best strategy. We get a 2-hitter on Arbok. Out next comes the Gloom, and we just one-shot it perfectly fine, and Murkrow goes Pursuit, but then we hit it with the Rollout, and we easily win. But I think we have to build up the Rollout there on the first Arbok just to be safe. We really don't want that Gloom hitting us with a bunch of Grass-type moves. But now with that done, I'm at least going to try Pryce one time because honestly I think it's our best shot of actually progressing here. Jasmine might also not be too bad until the Steelix, like the 2 Magnemites probably get completely wrecked by Magnitude, but I'm just worried about Iron Tail doing massive damage to us. Still, we do have a really high defense stat, so we might be able to get that one to go as well. When we get to Chuck though, that's where I'm really thinking all bets are off with this one. We'll just have to see. But for now, let's go ahead and make our way into Pryce's gym and just see if we can manage to get through his entire team. So Pryce attempt number 1, I'm going to go defense curl and then go into the rollout here. We get a speed drop from the seal, but we're still faster than this Pokemon at least. Piloswine comes out second though and hits the blizzard and just knocks us out. Because of the speed drop, we were slower. So we're really hoping for no speed drop here. We might even want to just go for like magnitude and hope for a really good roll on this first seal. It looks like we need at least a magnitude 8 to knock this Pokemon out. So we finally get that one to go down. Now we can get to the Piloswine where I'm going to go for Rock Throw just to see what it does. It didn't do that much, but then he goes Fury Attack, which is fine. I'll go Magnitude instead. Blizzard does massive damage, but then we knock out Piloswine, so we did manage to get through there at least. Now let's see what Rock Throw does to the Dugong. It's a 2-hit KO and Aurora Beam just ends us. So obviously we need to build up Rollout. That's the strategy. And in that case, I guess we're just hoping for an Icy Wind that doesn't lower our speed so that hopefully we can just set up all the rollouts. This time we knock out the Piloswine in a single hit, and that does bring out the Dugong. We outspeed and we one-shot. So Pryce can be defeated by Golem, but you're going for the rollout strat and hoping not to get a speed drop from the seal. That is the luck that you need. Fortunately, Icy Wind, while it does seem like it uses that on the first turn of every battle, is not guaranteed to lower your speed, so you can actually manage to get through there with a few resets. But with that done, now I think our next best play is to go to Jasmine, because maybe a magnitude 10 can just take out that Steelix, or maybe we just have enough physical defense that we can survive against Steelix. I'm not sure. We're just gonna have to see. We should already outspeed everything there though, so we should be able to hit magnitude first. Still, these are the fights that I find most nerve-wracking as I go through the run, because honestly, I have no idea if this is gonna be possible or not. And it honestly just might not matter if we get through Jasmine or not, because it might just be that Chuck is too much. Still, Jasmine will give us a badge boost in defense, so that could help a lot in this section. So for once, we're kind of wishing that we got the secret potion, because then we would be guaranteed to win. Obviously, that's the key to getting through Jasmine with every single Pokemon in the game, but here we're just gonna have to try without it and see if we can actually make this work. So Jasmine attempt number 1, we're just gonna go for the magnitude on the first Magnemite. That's an easy 1-hit KO. Steelix comes out next. Let's go for magnitude, and this one did about half. She did over half with her Iron Tail, but then we get a magnitude 9 and just knock out the Steelix, and now the second Magnemite can do literally nothing. I was debating whether or not we should go for the defense curls, but of course she can confuse us or go Sonic Boom, which is why I decided against it. But in the end, it didn't matter. We managed to get through Jasmine on the first attempt, nice and easy. So that's kind of good, but now we have to see about this next gym leader, where honestly defense curl rollout might be our best play here. We could also go for some mud slap strats if we want to. Obviously things like Fire Punch don't really help us that much in this section. Fury Cutter is also available, but it's also just going to be resisted. Rollout will just be the better play, I think, at that point. So we're just going to have to see how this works out. And if we outspeed the Poliwrath, I think we do. Fortunately, we have that badge boost in speed from Whitney, plus we are on max DV. So this is as fast as we could ever possibly get here with 57 speed. I'm not sure if it's enough or not, but for now we have to take on the Black Belt Bros, and this could be tough. So first up, we get the Hitmonlee. I'm going for Magnitude. We get a Magnitude 7 in one shot there. That's very lucky. Now we get to the second of the Black Belt Bros with the Hitmonchan. We go Magnitude and get another Magnitude 7, and it's a two-hitter as he gets a miss apparently, or I guess the King's Rock caused him to flinch. Hey, we'll take it. Now we still have to get through the rest of the randos though. This is one where I'm not sure they're going to be easy, so I'm going to go ahead and heal and then come back in here. Now this may all just come down to Magnitude luck, but we're not going to know until we try, so let's get into the Chuck fight. So Chuck attempt number 1, he leads off with the Primeape, which is just a little bit faster than us. Still, I'm going to go for a defense curl here just to have it. And let's just see what Rollout does. It doesn't do that much, but it should 2-hit KO here on this Pokemon, provided that we actually hit. And sure enough, we get it down in 2 hits after we reset it up after a single miss. And then we miss on the Poliwrath and Surf just ends us. So yeah, we're going to need some luck here, I think. Let's instead try Magnitude just to see. A Magnitude 8 does 1-hit KO there against the Primeape. We are faster than the Poliwrath, and a Magnitude 8 critical hits in one-shots. Oh, that is lucky. So yeah, Golem does get through. Was it pretty? No. We needed a lot of luck to get that. Probably the critical hit mattered. Maybe a Magnitude 10 just knocks out the Poliwrath though. I'm honestly not sure. But for this one, for now, we have actually progressed with our Golem. I'm really nervous about this Pokemon just on Claire though, because, you know, the Kingdra and plus the Dragonairs are not going to be able to use the Thunder Wave, so they're going to go for things like Ice Beam there. They could be tough, but we'll worry about that all in the next section. For now, Golem moves on. So now, very quickly, before we check back in on the results, let's do our Rapidash, because I'm actually very interested to see how this Pokemon performs relative to the Cyndaquil we saw earlier, because if I recall correctly, Rapidash's moveset is a little bit more limited. We're not going to have something like Flamethrower, so this could actually be a little bit tough. Let's see. Now, Rapidash is coming into this section with Ember, Fire Spin, Hidden Power, Dark, and Headbutt. And our next level up move is Takedown at level 34. Now, of course, we could learn Fire Blast to have a stronger same type move if we get really desperate. But for now, I think we just have to progress with this moveset as is. And I think our best play is to try to go take on Jasmine. So that's what I'm going to do. We'll see if it's enough or not. Still, while I'm here in Cyanwood, I'm going to try the randos in the gym just to see how they go. Maybe we can get through and just gain an extra level or 2. Here against the Hitmonlee, I'm actually going to go Headbutt because it has lower defense than special defense, and we get a nice 2-hit KO there. And the Headbutt could be the strat here, just getting flinches to get through, for example, the Poliwrath. Still just going to take a bit of luck as we knock out the Hitmonchan there. I don't think any of the other randos in here are going to be a problem though, so let's get straight through them, and then let's backtrack to Jasmine first. And in fact, we even had a reset there due to the fact that the trainer that has a Machoke in the gym knows the move Rock Slide, which was super effective. So one reset there, but we are able to now backtrack to Jasmine after getting the 3 randos done. I'm just not confident to take on Chuck himself yet. Let's try Jasmine and Pryce first and then backtrack to him at the very end. So Jasmine attempt number 1. Let's just see how we do against the Magnemites here with our Ember. And this is not a 1-hit KO, so we actually would need to have the Paralyzed Cure Berry on here. We can get to the Steelix just fine, but then Rock Throw is doing damage and there's not much that we can do in that situation. Still, if it's guaranteed that she sends out the Steelix second, then we might just have a chance here with the Paralyzed Cure Berry. So in this case, we'll just still stick with Ember on the first Magnemite. We can just heal after it uses the Thunder Wave on us. Now against the Steelix, we'll go for Ember again here. This looks to be a 3-hit KO. We took really good damage there. It went Screech though, and we just barely missed knocking it out. It had 1 HP remaining. That might be a range. Sure enough, we knock it out in 3 hits on the next attempt, which brings us to the final Magnemite, but we were on such low health that Thunderbolt just one-shot us there. If we can manage to get a critical hit somewhere, we can also win that way, so we'll just have to see how this works out. This time we crit the first Magnemite, and we burn the Steelix, lowering its attack stat, which is massive here. That's going to allow us to get through with a lot more health, just because of that extra chip damage in the weakened Rock Throw. So we knock that Pokemon out. Out comes the final Magnemite. We still have the Paralyzed Cure Berry because we crit the first Pokemon. So yeah, we get through. Took 5 attempts to get through Jasmine though, and honestly, that came down to getting a burn plus a critical hit. So that was a little bit luckier than what I would normally accept here, but we will take it. And let's just move on now to Pryce. We can gain some additional levels in the Rocket Hideout. That's the other reason why I think it's still legit that we managed to win there, because in the worst case, we would have just come over here and gained a couple more levels anyway. But now let's see if we can actually get through Pryce before we go back and try our hand against Chucky Boy. So it's another Pokemon that does manage to get through to the end of the Rocket Hideout, but you basically end up having to backtrack out to heal. Headbutt is typically the stronger move here because we have a higher attack stat, but it's not like it just one-hit KOs everything. We might be able to get through everything if we were going for the return strat here, but I'm going to save that for later. For now, we have made it to the final Rocket Executive without too much difficulty, and against the Arbok, the play is absolutely just to go Headbutt. It's going to be a 2-hit KO as it just goes Wrap on us. We can simply knock it out after that. Murkrow comes out, we'll stick with Headbutt and not quite get a 1-hit KO, but we'll just Ember it down from there. And finally Gloom. We can really go for anything, but Ember is super effective. It doesn't get the 1-hitter though, so it's probably a 2-hitter either way. Still, we managed to get through with no real issues, and we're on to Pryce. And now for Pryce, honestly, if he were smart enough to use water and ground type moves in addition to his ice type moves, it would probably be pretty difficult to get through here. Fortunately, he's not that smart, so I think we might just have a chance here. First attempt against his Seal, of course, we're just going to go for Headbutt. This is going to be a 2-hit KO as he goes Icy Wind, but we're fast enough. I don't think we need to worry about the speed drop there. Dugong comes out next. It's only neutrally affected by fire, so we're just going to go Headbutt here. It's going to be a 3-hit KO. Fortunately, we knock it out nice and easy, and that brings out the final Piloswine. Ember is super effective now. It does about half as he goes Fury Attack, and we can just Ember to knock that one out. So we beat Pryce on the first attempt. Man, oh man, he's just ready to retire. He says, come on, don't bring those fire types in here against me. My one weakness that I totally could have addressed by just, doing what any of the previous gym leaders have actually done. He could be running Mud Slap there. He could have Dig because the TM was already available. He could have, of course, Surf just like good old Chuck down in Cyanwood. Just a shame that he calls himself the 7th gym leader. So who knows, we might need to ask RBY Pokemon Challenges to make a ROM hack where we fix Pryce by actually making him decent. Since after all, if he did it with Bruno, he could definitely do it with Pryce. Anyway, we have made it to Chucky Boy. This is the scary one. I'm not sure how this is gonna go. Look at him just scowling at us like, we're nothing to him. He's gonna throw rocks here and we're just gonna have to watch him do it because we can't really do anything to his Pokemon. But let's see. Here, of course, I'm going to lead off with Headbutt on the Primeape. This is a 2-hit KO as he just goes Leer. That's perfectly fine. Now on the Poliwrath, this is where I'm worried. We really want to get a flinch here. He goes Mind Reader, and then he goes Hypnosis. But once he goes Hypnosis and we're asleep, we're basically dead. He does over half with Surf and just 2-hit KOs us from there. Still, if we can manage to get the flinch, I think we'll be perfectly fine. So let's just try this one again. Next attempt, we flinch him turn 1. Then he lands the Hypnosis. And I really need the Mint Berry on. I did not put it on in this one. So let's fix that right here. There we go. With the Mint Berry on, we should now have an additional turn, even if he goes for a Mind Reader into Hypnosis. This time he Karate Chops instead with the first Primeape, but that doesn't really matter. It all comes down to this Poliwrath. He goes Surf turn 1, he flinches turn 2, and then we knock him out turn 3. So we finally managed to get through there. We get to learn Takedown, and honestly, Takedown might be better than Fire Spin here. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's ever a case where we really want that chip damage. Otherwise, we could forget Headbutt. Headbutt could always be relearned. But honestly, I think we might need the Headbutts in the next section, so I'm going to forget Fire Spin right now. Tell me in the comments if you think that's a mistake, but obviously we'll have Fire Blast later on in the run, and that's going to be our strongest move, so I think this is the way to go. So I find it kind of funny that honestly Rapidash looked worse in this whole section than Golem, in spite of the fact that fire types so far have really crushed, and I'm just not confident in this Pokemon going forward at all. We'll just have to see how it works out, but its more limited moveset is what I think really holds this Pokemon back. So coming back to the results view here, of course, Rapidash goes into the OPTM column because it's still rocking that hidden power, but it still at least does progress in the game. Meanwhile, Victreebel and Golem are actually legit passers in this section, which is not what I thought about Golem. Golem better than Rapidash, confirmed. But with that being done, it's now time to get into our Slowpoke line. We'll check in on Slowbro and Slowking first, just to see how they go, before we step down to that Slowpoke that already had to use all the rare candies in the last section. So I'm going to go Slowbro first here. We are running the Confusion, Ice Punch, Surf, and Curse strat here, but we should resist everything, and that's what I think is going to be our saving grace. And I'm just going to take this opportunity to go down to Chucky Boy's gym first, since between Surf and Confusion we should be doing more than enough damage to everything, and who knows, if we can just manage to get through that, then we can come back and fight Jasmine and all that jazz, and it shouldn't be too bad. But let's see how this actually works out. Now first off, we have to take on the Black Belt Bros. Let's see how they go here. Of course, we will resist their fighting type moves. I'm just going to try to go for the Confusion here, since it's technically the stronger move. It's a 2-hit KO on that Hitmonlee, but we easily take it down. Now for the Hitmonchan, we'll just stick with the same, and this should be pretty easy. We get a critical hit that nearly one-shots. Thunder Punch did a lot, but we still managed to get through with no issues. And with that, I think the rest of the randos are going to be just fine. Let's make our way to Chucky Boy. Now we could learn Disable. I'm actually just going to skip that move though. I don't think we need it. I think it's more important to just stick with our other strong moves that we already have on the moveset. So with that, it's time for our first attempt against Chuck. And let's just see how this goes. Obviously, Confusion is the play here. It's going to be a 2-hit KO on the Primeape, but it doesn't do much damage to us at all. That brings out now the Poliwrath. We go Confusion and do pretty decent damage. It misses a Dynamic Punch and then goes for Hypnosis. And honestly, Dynamic Punch shouldn't do a lot of damage. It's more about the Confusion. Still, we have to actually wake up here so that we can hit something. We do wake up. This looks to be a 3-hit KO. We confuse his Poliwrath, but then it puts us back to sleep and it's using Surf. We need to actually be able to wake up and hit here. And unfortunately, we hit ourselves in Confusion, so we lose. Still, this is clearly a winnable fight. The question just is, are we better off with the Quick Claw or should we go for the Mint Berry here? I think the Quick Claw is still the way to go. We get a nice critical hit there with Confusion and then knock out Poliwrath the next turn. So 2 attempts to get through Chuck here. It's not really too bad with the Slowbro, but it's not perfectly consistent either. Still, with that being done, we can come and talk to Chucky Boy's wife in order to get access to Fly. And then I'm going to just go try out Jasmine because I can. If Surf just 1-hit KOs there against the 2 Magnemites, I think we're good to go. Now, the one thing that I do feel like we need to comment on is the fact that Slowbro and this whole Slowpoke line is the only line that has the word slow in its name and yet is not in the slow level up group. A little bit strange. I honestly think this should be a slow level of Pokemon. Just my opinion. Tell me what you think. But for now, let's take on Jasmine. But of course, after we recover a little bit of HP. But now here we are, Jasmine attempt number 1. Let's just see what we do against this Magnemite with Surf. It goes down on a single hit. Second Magnemite comes out and is also getting wrecked. Perfect. That brings us to the Steelix where we just go for Surf. And that's a 1-hit KO with a crit at least. So we easily get through Jasmine on the first attempt. And with that done, we're ready to make our way over to Mahogany Town and let's just go and take on Pryce. The Team Rocket members are standing in the way, of course, but I honestly just don't think they're going to be able to do anything against this Slowbro, so this should be pretty darn easy. And sure enough, we destroy the entire Rocket hideout with no issues with Slowbro. We can make our way to the final executive, where I think we have all the moves we need, so let's just get into this. Against the Arbok, obviously we can go for Confusion. Bite did a lot of damage, but we still get a one-hitter there. Murkrow comes out next. We have the Ice Punch for this Pokemon, getting an easy victory. And against the Gloom, Ice Punch, Confusion, they're technically the same power here, so we can go for either. And it's a one-hit KO. Honestly, if we weren't slow, we would have gotten through and one hit on every Pokemon and been super fine there. Honestly, Bite could have flinched us, and that's the only way I see us losing. But now in the Pryce fight, we are going to have to be careful. There are a couple of Pokemon using Headbutt there. If we flinch enough times, we might actually lose. We'll just have to see. Confusion will be our neutral damage dealing move here against the first Seal and Dugong, and I don't think they're going to one-hit KO. It's probably going to be a 2 or 3 hit KO if I have to guess, but let's find out how it actually works out. So Pryce attempt number 1, we're going for the Confusion on the Seal, and yeah, this looks like it might be a 3-hitter. We actually get the 2-hit KO range there. That's perfectly fine. Now we get flinched by Dugong once, and this one looks like it might be a 4-hit KO even. It is confused, but then rests, which is good. Still, we might need a critical hit to get through this one, but we're going to need to get a range here in order to actually knock it out. It hits itself in Confusion. That's perfectly fine. Now to the Piloswine, obviously Surf is the play here, and we get an easy 1-hit KO, and we get a level up and learn Headbutt. Hey, very nice. I'm not sure if we need this move, so I'm not going to learn it right now. It's always a TM that's available to us if we need it. And honestly, I think we want to keep Confusion as long as we can. Ice Punch is probably useful in the next gym, so we should probably not get rid of that. And Curse is obviously a good move as well, though Curse plus Headbutt would be pretty strong. Still, we'll just worry about that later. If we decide we need it, TM's already going to be available to us, so it's not a big deal. But with that done, it's now time to check in on Slowking and see if it can match up. And Slowking is coming in with Confusion, Tackle, Curse, and Water Gun. Obviously, Surf and Ice Punch are available moves here, as is Dig if we decide we need it for some reason. We just went through that last section with weaker moves, so I don't think it's a big deal. We're just going to have to see if this works out or not. In this one, let's go to the Rocket Hideout and Pryce first, though, just to see how this goes. Now, the fact that I have to learn Surf with a Pokemon is just going to lead me to just teaching Slowking Surf right here, though, because I don't think it makes sense to throw it on a different Pokemon when we already know it's going to be one of our best same-type moves, and we have to learn it anyway. And here, once again, we just destroy the entire Rocket Hideout with our Slowking. Let's see how we do against the final executive at a lower level than our previous run with our Slowbro. So, of course, against the Arbok, Confusion is the strongest play. We're going to get a 2-hit KO here just because we're coming in at a lower level, but then it hits itself in Confusion, so that's fine. We will go Surf on Murkrow since we don't have Ice Punch. And now we can just go Confusion on Gloom as we get to level 30 and get an easy 1-hit KO. That executive never really stood a chance even against our Slowking. Yet again, if she doesn't bite us and get multiple flinches with the Arbok, we basically are guaranteed to win. But now let's just see if we can beat Pryce or not at this point. Obviously, we resist Ice-type moves, so it's just about his Headbutt spam as I accidentally run into a trainer. But here we should be able to get the victory by maybe just setting up Curse and then going into Tackle. Since we do have a physical move, at least with all the curses set up, Tackle would be stronger, I believe, than the Confusion, and we would be building up a higher and higher defense against that Headbutt. So that may be the strategy. Let's just see how this actually works out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to start cursing at this Seal here. It misses Icy Wind, then it goes Headbutt. It's not doing that much damage though, and I really just want to see when we get a bunch of curses set up, how much damage we end up doing here. We're currently on +4 attack, and this looks to be a 2-hit KO with Tackle on the Seal. Now let's see how we do against Dugong. It goes Aurora Beam here. Because we have such high defense, and this is looking like a 3-hit KO. So as long as we're getting a 3-hitter, this is perfectly fine if Dugong goes to sleep. Now Piloswine, we can just go for Surf. It hits Blizzard, but doesn't do that much. And a single Surf ends that Pokemon as we get to level 31. So Pryce goes down nice and easy there. He's just a little tedious because you're going for Curse and a Tackle there. Obviously, we could learn a move like Headbutt to deal more damage, but it's going to work out either way. But now with that done, let's make our way down to Jasmine. I think she's the next best play. She's fairly slow. I think we'll outspeed against the Magnemites and surf them down. And as long as we do, then the Steelix shouldn't be a factor at all. Still, I think we can just go up against Chuck here too, because we have the really high stats and we can just go again for that curse strat on Chucky Boy. So let's just see how this actually works out. So I'm just going to try Chuck here. Chucky Boy attempt number 1. So what I'm actually going to do first here is I'm going to set up some curse on this first Primeape. It goes Leer turn 1, then it misses Fury Swipes. This is all perfectly fine by me. We're just going to build up our defense nice and high. We've got the Quick Claw on so we can outspeed every now and then. And I end up just going +6 here on defense. That will greatly reduce the power of the Poliwrath when it goes for Dynamic Punch. So now it misses Hypnosis, we hit Confusion, and then we just knock it out on the next turn. So we easily get through Chuck on the first attempt. He could do nothing against us. And we're ready to move on to Jasmine. And with her getting the secret potion, she knows she's going to need it if she's going to be able to beat this Slowking here, in spite of our low speed. But I don't think it's going to be enough. Steelix is probably getting wrecked, but let's find out. So Jasmine attempt number 1, we're just going to go Surf on the first Magnemite. We knock it out in a single hit. We Surf on the second Magnemite. I didn't even heal coming in here, knowing that we're going to destroy those two. And now on the Steelix, oh, it just gets completely wrecked. No need to even heal before you come in to fight Jasmine. We can replace Tackle with Headbutt, and we have just made it through this section with no issues whatsoever. In the next section, we may need to learn the Ice Punch. That may be the best strategy when we get to Claire, but this strategy could work out too. We might just go for Curse and the Headbutt, and that may be the way we get through everything. For now, the evolved forms of the Slowpoke have gotten through, but now we have to check in on the unevolved form and see if it can manage to get through. Since it's already dropped a couple rare candies, there are 4 more in this section, but even that might not be enough if we run into a major wall. Fortunately, Slowpoke matches up pretty well here though, so I think it does have decent chances of getting through. So for this one, let's just go down to Chuck's gym. Let's just see how it goes there. Obviously, we've got the type advantage and we'll resist the fighting type moves. I think that is our best play to progress. We might have to go Mint Berry on that Poliwrath, I'm not sure, but obviously Hypnosis has a really good chance to miss. So that's the reason why we may be able to get through anyway, and we don't have to deal with super effective moves. That's the one thing against Morty that's actually an issue with this Pokemon, is that things like Shadow Ball are super effective there. And because you're slow, you're taking lots of Curse damage plus lots of Nightshade damage, so they can actually knock you out pretty easily. Here though, I don't think we have nearly as much to worry about. So let's get into the Black Belt Bro fight here, where we'll just go for the Confusion first. We obviously are nowhere near as strong as our evolved forms were, so Jump Kick is doing a lot of damage. That brings us to the Hitmonchan, but this is kind of nerve-wracking. We get a nice Quick Claw activation here, and we even confuse the Hitmonchan, and we get another Quick Claw allowing us to get through, but that was not pretty at all. Now, we will not learn the move Disable. I don't think we need it. So let's instead make our way through the rest of the randos in the gym and see if we can take on Chucky Boy. And honestly, we're just taking a lot of damage because we can't outspeed anything here, and we're going to be outsped by both of Chuck's Pokemon as well. So I think we're going Curse strats here and maybe Curse into Dig on the Poliwrath. Let's see how this actually works out. So first up, we've got the Primeape. I'm going all in on Curse here. We get a nice Quick Claw activation turn 1, but then it's hitting a lot with Fury Swipes and getting a lot of crits on us. This is obviously a really good play given the fact that we are using Curse. Still, we do ultimately set up all of the curses here with no issues. We can go for Confusion on Primeape. It's going to be a 2-hit KO. And now we have to see what we do against the Poliwrath. I go Dig with the Quick Claw activating, and we did about half there. We survive with 1 HP from the Surf, but it wasn't enough. We get knocked out on the next turn. So let's just see if we can get a slightly better range here somehow, especially especially just with all those Fury Swipes hits getting critical hits last time. We were on really low health, which was not ideal. But no matter what we do, it looks like we're going to take a lot of damage here. Still, we do manage to get back to Poliwrath. It hits Hypnosis this time though, and then Surf is just going to 2-hit KO us yet again. So let's just go all in on Confusion instead. This time we get a 2-hitter on the first Primeape. Now Poliwrath misses the Hypnosis twice in a row. We get a nice critical hit there. It hits Dynamic Punch, but we move and we manage to knock him out this time as we get to level 31. So Chuck's definitely not consistent there by any means, but he is possible with a Slowpoke. Now the question is, do we outspeed against those Magnemites? I never look at the speed of the Magnemites because almost everything is faster there. But in this one, that's actually a factor. If we can outspeed, obviously Dig will be 4 times super effective. So even that move should just 1-hit KO there. But otherwise, we're going to have to possibly reset here on this fight for luck to get a Quick Claw. I'm not sure, but that will be kind of ridiculous. We might even have to go to Mahogany first if that is the case. But for now, let's just test this one out. So Jasmine, attempt number 1. We are coming in with 31 speed and the Magnemite has 36 speed. So it is faster than us and Thunderbolt just wrecked us there. So yeah, that is not going to be happening unless we get that Quick Claw to activate. So I'm going to make my way over to Mahogany. So hopefully we can get through the Rocket Hideout without too much issue and just use this opportunity to gain an extra level or 2 because we're definitely going to need it. So Slowpoke does get to the end of the Rocket Hideout with no issues. The question here is how we do against the actual final executive, because it's not like it's pretty. We're going to be outsped by everything here. So I think Confusion is the play on the first Arbok. We get flinched on the first attempt, then it goes Wrap the second turn, and we get a Quick Claw, so we knock it out after that. That brings out the Murkrow, where we'll go for Surf here. And Surf does not get the 1-hitter, but we get another Quick Claw right there to help us out. Gloom is out last. Gloom is actually slower than us, but it's going to be a 2-hit KO. We survive the Absorb, and we do manage to win on the first attempt, but definitely not pretty. And now I think we have to go take on Pryce, because we're still going to be slower than those Magnemites. So it's time for the first attempt here. Let's see if we can actually get a win on Pryce or not. So Pryce attempt number 1, we're going to go Curse right off the bat because we're going to need a really good range on the Seal and the Dugong in order to get through them. And obviously Curse does a lot for us in terms of helping us be more survivable against their headbutts. And it actually gets them off of using headbutt eventually. So I think it's the ideal play. Now we can go Dig, I guess, here, just trying to deal more damage. We managed to knock out the first Seal. We get a Quick Claw activation on Dugong, and this is going to be a 2-hit KO, but still, that gives me a lot of hope because we might just be able to use Confusion to knock it out from here. Oh, it's not enough, but we get another Quick Claw allowing us to get through. Now Piloswine, it goes Mist, we can go Surf, and this is going to be a 2-hit KO, but he just goes for a Hyper Potion there. I don't think he can deal enough damage. We get a crit anyway, so we knock that Pokemon out. We get to learn Headbutt via level up. I'm going to skip it though because I'm not sure we actually need that move. Still, we managed to get through Pryce on the first attempt with no issues, but we're still 2 points in speed slower than the Magnemites. And the only way we would get there would be by using some of our 4 remaining rare candies. So I'm going to go in here trying with Quick Claw strats to see, because if we're still getting 1-hit KO'd by the Thunderbolt, that would be the only way we could get through here. But if we can just barely survive, we might have a chance with a single Quick Claw activation. Let's see. So back to Jasmine, we get the Quick Claw turn 1. We get to go Dig on the Magnemite. That's a 1-hit KO. Magnemite number 2 comes out. We get another Quick Claw, allowing us to knock that Pokemon out. And now we are in fact faster against the Steelix. So we can go Surf here. It's going to be a 2-hit KO as she goes for Sunny Day. And after the Hyper Potion, it will take 3 more hits, but she's only going to get to hit us with Iron Tail once, and she misses. That's all we needed. We managed to beat Jasmine the first attempt that we go back. That was stupidly lucky to get 2 Quick Claws in a row on exactly those 2 Magnemites. That was ridiculous. Honestly, what you would have to do is actually go and get a rare candy, possibly even 2, because keep in mind, you get a little stat experience there as you're fighting her Pokemon. So it might have been that we would have needed to burn 2 rare candies just to get in the speed tie. And it looks like they were still going for Thunderbolt. So that suggests to me that it's highly likely they still had a 1-hit KO range on us. And if that's the case, I mean, we would have needed to burn rare candies to get through reasonably. Still, we get through with ridiculous luck. It's not great. I don't think we're going to be as good as our evolved forms in the next section either. We may end up having to go Blizzard strats. I mean, we do have Icy Wind. It's just not a super strong move, but that might be the best that we've got short of going OPTMs in the next section in order to actually get through Claire. We'll just have to see how it works out. For now, Slowpoke is technically moving on. It's not like a super legit contender, but if you burned a couple rare candies to get through Morty, you could get to this point. Still, it wasn't actually using any OPTMs, so technically we can keep Slowpoke up there in the normal pass column. But like I said, with a big asterisk, that is the only Pokemon in that section that has used any rare candies. So just take that with a grain of salt. Still, with that being done, we're ready to get into our electric types. We've got our Magnemite, Magneton, Flaafy, and Ampharos. I'm going to do these kind of as a set because I'm just interested to see. Let's look at Ampharos and Magneton and then step our way down. So coming in first with our Ampharos, we're coming in with Thunder Punch, Fire Punch, Tackle, and Thunder Wave. I think Fire Punch is one of those moves that's really going to carry us here because it gives us that solution against Jasmine. Honestly, we may as well just go down to Chuck's gym though, since we have the Thunder Punch as a super effective move against that Poliwrath. And I think our moveset's good enough to get through everything, but let's just see. So first things first, we'll come take on the Black Belt Bros. I'm just going to go for the Thunder Punch here. It's our strongest move effectively. We are slower than the Hitmonlee here, but it looks like 2 Thunder Punches is enough to take that one down. And now let's just see how we do against this Hitmonchan. It should be about the same range. Sure enough, looks like a 2-hit KO as we knock it out and get to level 30. And sure enough, we get to Chuck just fine after that, so let's just see how he goes. First up, we've got the Primeape. I'm just going to go for the Thunder Punch here. We do pretty good damage. I'm going to go for Fire Punch after that just to conserve some PP. Poliwrath comes out next. We can go Thunder Punch, and this is going to be an easy 2-hit KO as he just goes Mind Reader. So we beat Chuck on the first attempt with no real issues. This is one way that I guarantee this Ampharos is much, much better than our Magneton that's coming up, is that Magneton will be weak against fighting type moves, but here we don't really care that much about the fighting type moves. We get through super easy. But now I'm just interested to see if we can go straight to Jasmine because we have Fire Punch. If we can, then this is a perfectly fine case to just come here, get the badge boost in defense, and then take a more efficient routing through this section. I don't expect to have any real issues on Pryce. So this is more just a thought experiment to see if it's possible to take on Jasmine immediately, or would you have to go to Pryce in the Rocket Hideout first? But let's just test this out. First attempt against Jasmine, we're going to come in and go Fire Punch on the first Magnemite. That is a 1-hit KO. We knock it out nice and easy. Second Magnemite comes out as we get to level 32 and goes down as well. And now Steelix time. We go Fire Punch. It does about half. We burn it. It goes for Iron Tail, which obviously doesn't really matter. We're an electric type. And now we're just going to get an easy 2-hit KO on that Pokemon, giving us a nice, simple victory. And we get a move on in the game with the Mineral Badge already in the bag. So honestly, Ampharos might be kind of OP here. We're going to go beat up on everything in the Rocket Hideout and make our way to Pryce. And I don't foresee any major issues here, but let's just get to the final Rocket first and see. Now, honestly, up to this point, the Team Rocket members have mostly been easy enough that they've just never been a factor in any of these, but I'm still showing the final Rocket battle just so that you guys know exactly where I did the Rocket Hideout, since I'm not doing every single run with the exact same routing. But you can just assume anytime you see that final Rocket grunt, that's exactly where I did the whole Rocket Hideout, because there's never a case where I'm like running out to avoid that final Rocket, I think. So let's just get through this nice and quick and make our way to that final battle. Sure enough, we're to the final Rocket with no issues whatsoever, and let's just see how she goes. On the Arbok, we'll lead off with the Thunder Punch. We get the 1-hit KO. Gloom comes out next. We can just Fire Punch that Pokemon for an easy victory, and Murkrow never stood a chance against a Thunder Punch. We get the level 35 right here, and we're ready to go take on Pryce. We've got super effective moves against all of his Pokemon, so this really shouldn't be too bad. So Pryce attempt number 1 right here. Let's just see how he goes. He leads off with the Seal. We go Thunder Punch, which is an easy one-hitter. Piloswine comes out next. We'll go for the Fire Punch, and this is just barely not a one-hit KO, but it's going to be an easy 2-hitter even after he goes for the Hyper Potion. So we take no damage there. Dugong comes out last. Thunder Punch, and that's an easy one-hit KO victory. So Pryce never stood a chance in this section. We completely destroy him. So Ampharos gets through nice and easy. Now before we check on Flaafy, let's look at our Magneton. I'm really nervous for this Pokemon. Now, one thing's for sure, we're going to have to take a different routing with Magneton than we just did with our Ampharos, because we're going to be in bad shape against both Jasmine and Chuck. So I'm going to go straight to Pryce first, since he should be the easiest one here. Let's just see how we do. We obviously have the rollout strat as one way that we could potentially get through something, but that depends on us being able to actually set up rollout first. I think in this one, we have to get as many levels as we possibly can before we even think about entering Chuck's gym, and we may really need to get access to some additional moves before we can actually manage to beat even Jasmine here. Rollout might be the play there. I'm honestly just not sure. And in fact, we get our first taste of fighting an enemy Magneton right here in the Rocket Hideout. We have to beat Jed. He has 3 Magnemites here. And I'm not sure if we're better off going for the rollout strats or going for Sonic Boom, but Sonic Boom will be a 3-hit KO on all of these Pokemon. So I think we have to go rollout here to see if it maybe can reach the point of like 1-hit KOing one of these Pokemon, because otherwise we're just going to get wrecked, I think. So we managed to get through the first Magnemite at least. That brings out the second Magnemite. We do one-shot there, and then we miss the rollout on the final Magnemite. So we're going to have to build up again from the beginning. It's fortunately not smart enough to go for a bunch of Sonic Booms there. Otherwise, we would have lost. So we'll take that level of luck, but man, we're going to need some rollout strats to really work here. We don't have a great attack stat, so not ideal by any means. So we do manage to get through to the final executive here. I think we're going rollout strats in order to get through this one most consistently, just because at least that way we can build up before the Gloom comes out. We don't have anything else really good for Gloom, so let's just see how this goes. So in this one, we'll just start building up rollout right away on Arbok. I think this is going to be a 3-hitter on this Pokemon. Sure enough, we get that range. Gloom comes out next. We miss the rollout. Are you kidding me? Come on. So it goes Absorb. It doesn't do a lot of damage. We do knock that Pokemon out as Murkrow comes out and Rollout destroys it. But we're basically just at the mercy of that chance for Rollout to miss on any given turn. And that's going to be our best strat in a lot of these cases. So let's just take this chance to first go take on Pryce, since he's going to be the most logical of these gym leaders. I think rollout strats are the play here. Even though we have super effective Thundershock against 2 Pokemon, the Piloswine, the only way we're going to do decent damage is the rollout. So let's just see how this goes. So Pryce attempt number 1, we go rollout on the Seal. It's going to be a 3-hitter from the looks of things. We knock that Pokemon out. Very nice. Dugong comes out next and gets 1-hit KO'd. And that brings out the Piloswine. We hit rollout, so we win on the first attempt against Pryce very easily. But that was really just the warm-up for this section. The real problem is coming up here with Jasmine and Chuck. Against Jasmine, our problem is that she's going to definitely paralyze us, which will stop us from building up the rollouts. And that moveset that's showing up there is a glitch. There's an issue with the Magneton moveset for some reason in my overlay. I'm gonna have to go back and check in on that. It's probably the naming of Sonic Boom, if I have to guess. I'll have to double check that though. My overlay can glitch out in cases where, for example, there's a space in one spot but not in another spot. So things like that could be what's actually happening here, causing the moveset to not show properly. I'll have to investigate that after I do this run today, but for now, I'm just going to leave it. Still, we have to decide how we're going to get through this section. I'm going to start by just trying the randos inside the gym, because maybe we can find a way through. I'm not super confident here, but I think maybe we have to go for the Thunder Wave first and then try to use Thundershock to knock out these Black Belt bros. Let's see. So first Black Belt bro with the Hitmonlee, we're going to go Thunder Wave first. We paralyze this Pokemon. Jump Kick does massive damage. Now we can go Rollout strats since it does build up, and we get crazy good luck with the paralysis there. That was just insane. Now we get to Hitmonchan. I'll paralyze this one too. It goes Ice Punch and freezes me. And now it goes Thunder Punch. Oh, this is terrible. Obviously, if it goes Fire Punch, we thaw out. But we're on such low health now that we simply go down. And I'm not sure we're going to get that level of luck again here. And these are 4-hit KOs with Sonic Boom. And it looks like 3-hit KOs with the Thunderbolt. So short of that level of crazy luck, we're not even going to get through the Hitmonlee. This time it is fully paralyzed at least for one turn. And it's fully paralyzed a second turn. So we did manage to get through there. Let's see if we can get through the Hitmonchan with just all-out attack. It goes Thunder Punch, which is obviously a big mistake. He's just not smart enough to always use the strongest move. So we did manage to get through there. I'm going to see if I can get through the other randos or not, because honestly, getting through Chuck is probably my best play here. So ultimately, we do get to Chuck without any issues after the Black Belt bros. The question is, can we get through here? We've got the Mint Berry on just in case he goes for sleep against us, but we might be better off with the Bitter Berry in case he hits us with Dynamic Punch, but we might also just go down if he hits Dynamic Punch. I'm honestly not sure. So let's get into this and try it out. So attempt number 1 here against Chuck. I'm just going to go Thundershock on the Primeape. This looks like a 3-hit KO as we paralyze it. It goes Karate Chop, but we still survive with decent enough HP. That brings out the Poliwrath, which we do outspeed. We do about half. Dynamic Punch just hits and 1-hit KOs us. Still, Dynamic Punch is a 50-50 shot, so I think this is reasonable enough to still try to get through. We get Leer this time from the Primeape. We hit Poliwrath this time with the Thundershock. It misses Dynamic Punch, and that's all we needed to get through there. We get to level 33 as we now move on to Jasmine, but there are no more trainers available. This is where we have to fight Jasmine and beat her. Otherwise, we have to start burning rare candies here, and this could just be terrible. I'm honestly not sure how this is going to go. It's even a case where we might wish to have Thunderbolt here against the random Magnemites, even though it's resisted. We might have to go for the return strat here just to try to deal more damage. I'm honestly not sure. So I will give the Paralyzed Cure Berry just in case. It's also worth noting that if we do end up going rare candies, we get Tri Attack at level 35 in Pokemon Crystal. If this were Pokemon Gold and Silver, that move would be Swift instead. That obviously could be useful in the sense that it would allow us to at least inflict some status on our opponent. But other than that, the only thing we can get is Return here, or we could go try to get Thunder to deal more damage specifically against the Magnemites. That wouldn't solve anything for us against Steelix. Let's see how this actually works out. So first attempt against Jasmine here. I'm just going to see what different things do. Thundershock on this first Magnemite does 24 damage. So it's going to be a 3-hit KO. We get paralysis. We get to heal our paralysis with the Paralyzed Cure Berry, and then it misses the Thunder Wave. So we knock that one out. We get to Steelix now, and here our best play I think is just to go Sonic Boom, which is going to be a 6-hit KO on this Pokemon. That guarantees that she will be able to go for the Hyper Potion as well. And it looks like we're just not dealing that much damage, and we're taking quite a bit of damage from Steelix. She does Hyper Potion there though, so we might have a shot here. Still, it's gonna be very, very luck-based to get through this one. We do manage to get through, but with only 13 HP remaining, and this final Magnemite is gonna be a 3-hit KO no matter what we do here. It goes Thunderbolt and just simply ends us. So that does not look good at all. The only question is, would Rollout be better against the Steelix here, in spite of the fact that it is 4 times resisted, just because of the fact that it would be able to build up over time. So this time we get to Steelix on full health again. Let's just see what Rollout does here. We missed the first one, of course. And after that, it's going to take a few turns for this to double up in order to deal any decent amount of damage. But it's definitely not anywhere close to the Sonic Booms, so this isn't the play. Rollout is just simply not going to do enough damage here. So effectively, we have to go for the Sonic Boom there. I want to see what Return will do, since that would be be something that we can get without going for rare candies. I know it's something we've talked about a lot here on the channel, but the reason why I always will try to use TMs before I go for rare candies is because of the fact that we just get those situations so often in the later game where if we don't have the rare candies, we lose, and rare candies are worth a lot less experience at this point in the game than they are later in the game. I'm going to try to replace the move Sonic Boom with Return here. I'm not going to go max friendship just yet. I'm going to try my friendship as it is. I mean, we're already at 190. Let's just see what this does. So now when we go return on this Magnemite, it still looks like it's going to be a 3-hit KO here. In fact, even a 4-hitter. So worse than what we were dealing with before. Let's see what happens when we max out our friendship. And here with maxed out friendship, this is just going to be a 3-hit KO as well. So it doesn't really change anything, at least not on the Magnemite. But now let's see what it does against the Steelix. Yeah, that's laughably low damage. So return is not the play here. So we'll go back to Sonic Boom there. The other strategy that we can try here is to go for Thunder. Obviously, Thunder also puts us in that OPTMs category, but it is a same type special move, and we have higher special attack here than physical attack. So we're just going to slap this on over Thunder Shock, and let's see if that gets those Magnemites to be a 2-hit KO here. So Magnemite number 1, we go Thunder. That's a 1-hitter now, so we get through to the Steelix on full health. Now we can go for these Sonic Booms, hoping to hit enough of them that we actually manage to take this one down. And then in theory, at least, as long as we manage to get through the Steelix, we should be able to 1-hit KO the final Magnemite, assuming we don't miss. Still, we're going to go down on this one because we missed too many Sonic Booms and Steelix got too many defense buffs. So we're going to have to try this one again. Still, this one seems in theory at least to make this fight possible. So we're just going to have to grind it out a few times to see. Since we did get to that final Magnemite once, it's going to come down to those 25% chances for the Steelix to miss plus us not missing, which is pretty luck based, honestly, but it's the best I think we can do. I'll at least give it quite a few good attempts before I give up on this one. It also somewhat depends on her timing of using the Hyper Potion. The earlier she uses it, the better it is for us. Still, we're going to need some luck here. We do finally knock out that Steelix. Let's see if Thunder can connect. We do not, and Thunderbolt ends us with a crit right there. And honestly, that could be the factor that ends this one, is just the fact that we also have to have Thunder connect, because that is a lot of luck to actually get to land. 2 Thunders hitting. We can maybe miss 1 thanks to the Paralyzed Cure Berry, but honestly, we might be best off going for a Gold Berry here and then just praying that we actually hit both of the Thunders on the Magnemites, since they are 1-hit KOs. If we miss and get paralyzed, I think we just reset because it takes so many turns to take down that Steelix. I just don't think it's going to be enough without getting there without paralysis on. Still, at least that Goldberry lets us heal 30 damage in this, and that's what we're really banking on here. We are getting through the Steelix again, this time on a little less than half health. We get the Thunderbolt, which did about 19 damage, so we're going to go down on the next hit if we miss, but now we hit the Thunder and we just barely scrape past with a Magneton. That tells me that the Magnemite is probably going to have to drop the rare candies to get through here. How many? I don't know. It might not be able to get through even with all the rare candies just due to its significantly weaker stats, but Thunder is going to be a play there. We're just going to have to go for it and see if it works. Still, before we get into all of that, let's get to Flaafy now, who's coming in with a very similar moveset to its evolved form: Thunder Punch, Swift, Fire Punch, and Thunder Wave. I think this moveset is yet again going to be enough to get us through this whole section. We just have a lower special attack than what we had with our evolved form. So Ampharos got through super easy. Flaafy might be a little more random. I'm still going to make my way down to Chuck first just to see if I can manage to get through. And if I can, then this will be the best routing through this section, I think. First up, it's Black Belt Bros time. Let's see how they go. The obvious play here is just to go Thunder Punch. We're slower than Hitmonlee though, which is kind of bad. We might need to paralyze this Pokemon to get through because we lose on the first attempt. So here we'll paralyze it this time instead and now go into our Thunder Punches, just hoping that it misses at least 1 turn due to paralysis. We get it to be fully paralyzed for 1 turn at least, and we get to move on to Hitmonchan, but we're on really low health, so this is probably not going to work out. We survive an Ice Punch here at least though with 2 HP, but we would need 2 turns of it being fully paralyzed to get through. So definitely not looking great for our Flaafy right here. We might actually have to take a different routing. Sure enough, we just couldn't get the luck there, so I'm going to backtrack now. Let's go to the Rocket Hideout, because I'm not sure we're going to get through Jasmine. I mean, I guess we can try her one time just to see, but I'm just not super confident in this. Still, what the heck, we're right here in Olivine anyway, so we may as well deliver the secret potion and just test it, assuming that we probably lose, but who knows, maybe Fire Punch is enough to get us through. So Jasmine, attempt number 1, let's just see how she goes. Magnemite comes out, we go for Fire Punch. That is not quite a one-hit KO at this level, so yet again, I just don't see any way we're getting through there. So let's just give up on that and go to the Rocket Hideout instead. That Magnemite was really close, so I think within 1 or 2 more levels we'll get through there. Could be a bad range. You know, I never run damage calculators here. I know I get a lot of comments from people saying, oh, that was a range, you know, maybe it was a, you know, a really close range, something where you would need a really high roll to get through, but it is possible. But for me, it just takes a lot of the intrigue out of these runs. If I start running damage calculations, I would much prefer to just test it directly and see if it actually works or not in practice, you know. And if there's a situation where it's clearly wrong or I clearly had the wrong strategy, I read those comments and we'll come back and test them later. For now though, let's just get to the Rocket Hideout, because this is definitely the way to at least make this one more consistent. Now fortunately, Flaafy does get to the end of the Rocket Hideout with no issues. Let's see how the final executive goes here. We're going to lead off, of course, with the Thunder Punch. It's going to be a 2-hit KO on Arbok as we take a Leer. Still not too bad. We can just go for, oh, I meant to go for the Fire Punch. I'm obviously getting a little tired at this point. It's already nearly midnight here. Still, I managed to knock that one out on the next hit, and we can go for the Thunder Punch on the Murkrow to completely destroy that Pokemon. And just like that, Flaafy gets through this section. And now we're going to go take on Pryce, because he's the only one I think we can reasonably take on at this point. Then we'll have to go back to Jasmine, then to Chuck, is what I think is going to have to be the play, just because those Black Belt Bros were doing way too much damage to Flaafy. So it's kind of interesting to see that the mid-stage evolution of the Mareep line, while still alive here and with better moves than what the Magneton had, is kind of going similar to the Magneton at this point, of having to go to Pryce first. In spite of the fact that it should have a pretty good matchup against Chuck's gym, it just doesn't work out. So let's come to Pryce instead. Let's just see how this one goes in our first attempt. So first up, we've got the Seal. We go Thunder Punch. That's an easy 1-hit KO. Piloswine comes out next. We go Fire Punch. We do about half as it goes Mist, and we just knock it out on the next turn. That brings out the Dugong. We go Thunder Punch. It's not a 1-hitter, but it's going to be a 2-hitter. Even if it goes Rest, we'll just simply win. So there we go. We beat Pryce on the first attempt at least, and Flaafy is ready to move on in the game. Back, I think, to Jasmine first, since hopefully we can now get the range on those Magnemites. So round 2 with Jasmine. Let's see how this actually goes. Against the first Magnemite, we go for the Fire Punch, and now we do get a 1-hit KO there. We'll do the same here on the second Magnemite. So that Pokemon goes down. Steelix comes out. We do over half with the first Fire Punch. She gets a critical hit Iron Tail, but she's slower, and after the Hyper Potion, she's just going down. So we win and get to level 34 right here with Flaafy as we get ready to go back down to Chucky Boy's gym. Now with a badge boost in defense, which is a major improvement. We've got levels plus badge boost now to help us out. That may be what we actually needed to get this one to go. So let's see what the Black Belt Bros look like now that we're at a higher level. First things first, we're faster than Hitmonlee now, and this is just a 2-hit KO, so we get through just fine on the first one, Yoshi. And now on Lao, we should still be getting a 2-hit KO on the Hitmonchan, so that's perfectly fine. Now we can get through the randos, and I don't think Chuck will be too hard, but let's find out. So Chucky Boy, attempt number 1. He leads off with the Primeape yet again. We're just going to go for the Thunder Punch. The Karate Chop got a crit and did a lot, and we're slower than the Primeape, so we're already below half health. Now on the Poliwrath, we get a 1-hit KO, so we do manage to get through Chuck on the first attempt. The badge boost in defense definitely put in work. The additional levels allowing us to outspeed the Hitmonlee also put in a lot of work. Honestly, the Black Belt Bros were harder than the gym leader himself, so yeah, take that for what you will. Still, Flaafy didn't look great there. I'm a little worried for it in the Claire section, but for now, we'll just let this Pokemon move on. It's time to check in on Magnemite. So Magnemite is of course running the same moveset that we had before, but we already know that we need Thunder based on the results of the last attempt with that Magneton. So I'm not going to waste any time here. Let's just get Thunder immediately. I will once again learn this over Thunder Shock. The rest of our moves I think have to stay. We're going to need the Sonic Boom for the Steelix. We're going to need the rollout strats in certain spots. So I mean, I just don't see any way that we're going to get through this easy, but the best way to go is to start off with the Rocket Hideout, where at least Thunder will do more damage against Jed's 3 Magnemites, giving us a better chance of getting through there. Still, we're going to have to get a lot of accuracy luck here. I'm just not sure how this is actually going to pan out. Now, we do manage to get through the Rocket Hideout just fine. Thunder is one hit KOing on the Magnemites down here, and it basically one hit KOs everything. I think there was like one Pokemon on the final executive, the Raticate, that wasn't a one hitter. So we'll just have to see how this goes. First off, on the Arbok here for the final executive, we will go Thunder. We get the one hit KO on Arbok at least. Now for the Gloom, we could go for anything. I'm going to go Thunder just because it's going to do the most damage. It's going to be a 2-hit KO here. We paralyze it and then just knock it out the next turn. And Murkrow, as long as we hit Thunder, this will be an easy one hitter. Of course, we have that 30% chance to miss. Still, we get through nice and easy. And now we're ready to go take on Pryce. I think he's super important since he's going to give us that badge boost in special attack that will make our Thunder even a little bit stronger. Thunder is really OP at this point in the game, so that's the one thing that we've got going for us. I'm still not sure it's going to be enough though. Let's see with Pryce though, maybe we can get through this one nice and easy and then just move on in the challenge. So first up against the Seal, I'm looking ahead to the Piloswine, which is why I'm going to set up Rollout here, hoping to knock this one out and still have Rollout built up when I get to Piloswine later on. Sure enough, we knock that one out. Dugong comes out second. We get the one hitter there, but that wasn't quite what I wanted to see. We have to build up the Rollout from the beginning now on the Piloswine. It is building up nicely though as he goes Mist, and that allows us to get the victory on the first attempt. And with that, like I said, we get a badge boost in our special, particularly our special attack. Our special defense isn't quite in the range yet to actually get the effect, nor will it be for quite a while in this run. Still, in fact, we may never actually hit this point where the special defense actually comes in properly with the badge boost. We'll just have to see, but for now, at least our special attack is higher, and that's what we really need in this one to deal more damage. We're going to go down to Chuck's gym and just see what we do with the Thunder down there. So first up against the Black Belt Bros, Thunder on the Hitmonlee is not a one-hitter, and a critical hit jump kick just one-shots us. Let's try this again. And this looks like, what, are we in a speed tie here? We are not. We're slower. It's the Quick Claw that has to activate for us to have a shot here. So we need one Quick Claw activation in addition to needing like a critical hit here. Otherwise, we can paralyze Hitmonlee, but we're just taking massive damage. So here I do paralyze that Pokemon, and it's fully paralyzed, so we can go Sonic Boom, hoping that it hits. Instead, we get the miss from the jump kick, but now we've got Hitmonchan, and we've got to get similar luck here. We move first, but Fire Punch just destroys us. So I think we need a critical hit here if we're going to get through this one. So once again, we get back to the Hitmonchan, but we miss and Fire Punch just ends us yet again. This time we get slightly more health as we finish that first Hitmonlee. I'm just not sure it's going to be enough though. I do move first and paralyze the Hitmonchan, but yet again, it just hits me and knocks me out. I'm not sure we get the luck to actually get through here at this point. And it's not like we get anything that's really going to help us there. So like, yes, you could get through eventually with enough resets to get the Quick Claw activation plus the crit on the first Hitmonlee, but that's a heck of a lot of luck. That's beyond what I reset for. So I think we have to go to Jasmine, and we just have to see what we actually do against the Magnemites. If we're one hit KOing there, then we should be able to at least try our hand at the Steelix. If not, we're going to be in bad shape yet again here, and we're going to have to look at anything else that can be done. But honestly, I think it's just that we have to go for the rare candies at that point. So Jasmine attempt number 1, let's just see how she goes here. Now, fortunately, we are faster than our Magnemites because we've got the badge boost in speed plus max DVs, but Thunder is not a one-hitter on this Pokemon, and that's probably all she wrote right there. We can go for Sonic Boom on the Steelix, but it's just going to do an awful lot of damage against us when it uses that Iron Tail. It does not look like we can survive. Still, if we can just get a critical hit here with the Thunder, we could get through to the Steelix on full health, or we could get the miss from that Thunder Wave 25% of the time. So I think we have to reset here a few times at least. I also think we need to replace the Quick Claw with a Gold Berry. That will at least give us some healing in the middle of battle that might just help us, and that's our best shot to get through this, I think. This time we even paralyzed the first Magnemite, allowing us to get through with no status. And now it's just a question of whether or not we can get enough Sonic Booms off to actually knock out the Steelix. We already had to use our Gold Berry here, so this is not looking great since she has the Hyper Potion as well. I think we're going down on this one. So this time we do get to the last Magnemite, but we've only got 8 HP remaining. We would need a crit right here in order to get through. We don't get it, but we do paralyze it, only to get hit by Thunderbolt anyway and go down. But yeah, a fully paralyzed turn or a crit is what it's going to take there, because she's only going to go for Thunderbolt and try to knock us out when we're on such low health. Still, if she misses enough times, we can actually get to the last Magnemite still on green health. We missed the first Thunder, we hit the second one. Now she goes Thunder Wave on us, but we just need to hit a Sonic Boom, and we actually do manage to get through Jasmine there. That's insane. So we get to level 32, but now we need the luck to actually be able to get through Chuck and his gym, which wasn't looking like it was going to happen earlier. Maybe the badge boost in defense changes things though, since that should give us a better range on that Hitmonlee. Let's just see how this actually works out. So back to the Black Belt bros, we're still 1 point in speed slower than this Pokemon. Double Kick still does massive damage, but Thunder now does one hit KO there. That brings us to the Hitmonchan. Can we get the one hitter? We just barely missed the range, but we knock it out the next turn. We were faster. That might have been all that we actually needed here. Now I think we'll outspeed a lot of these other Pokemon, and Thunder probably one hit KOs because they don't have great special after we get through the first Black Belt bros. So that might be all that we actually needed. So let's just get through this section and find out. But honestly, I'm still kind of nervous about this Pokemon on Chuck, but we know that he has a potential to just punt, which is why I think we have a chance to get through now. So let's just try Chucky Boy one time. He leads off with the Primeape. I'm going for Thunder here as he misses a Leer. That is a one-hit KO. And now Poliwrath, we outspeed, and Thunder one-shots. So we get through, getting to level 34. Magnemite is still alive. It's close, but it is possible to get through on minimum battles here. I would not recommend this though. I mean, you're resetting for a situation where you either get a crit, a paralysis, and one turn fully paralyzed, or a Thunder Wave miss from the first Magnemite on Jasmine's team. Together with, you have to hit Thunder at least once and then hit the Sonic Boom the next turn. And then you have to get enough turns to Sonic Boom down the Steelix. This is a situation where honestly, I wish that I had a program that could just run a simulation of battles over and over and over again to find the actual odds of winning a particular fight, because that one might be more luck-based than what my rules would normally allow, in spite of the fact that we did get it to go. I'm honestly just not sure with this Magnemite, but I think it's going to be exposed as a pretender pretty soon anyway, because I'm just not sure that it's actually going to be able to get through. Like, if it does get through all of the Rocket storyline, that will be fine, but once we get to the League, I'm pretty sure at best this Pokemon gets to Bruno and then gets wrecked. Like, Bruno would actually be a wall to this Pokemon in this one. Still, with Magnemite getting through, we have only one challenger left in this one, and it's going to be time for our Farfetch'd. We're definitely getting a lot of separation between our challengers though. We're seeing a lot more Pokemon in the struggle or OPTMs category, and while we are adding to the pass column, I mean, it's just not always as pretty as it was before. So I leave it to you guys as the viewers eventually to decide for yourselves if you think a Pokemon is unreasonable. I just try to present as best as I can to you that if you get this certain level of luck, it is possible to get through. But honestly, Magnemite and Slowbro are probably pretenders at this point, at least without the rare candies. Rare candies might change that calculus just a little bit because you would obviously have even more levels to be able to get through certain key opponents. You'd have more HP, you'd take less damage, you deal more damage to your opponents. You know, it kind of makes sense. There may be a point where with the rare candies, the Magnemite is just purely one-hit KOing against those enemy Magnemites on Jasmine's team, at which point that one's probably a lot more reasonable. So, you know, take that for what you will. Anyway, we have made it to Farfetch'd, the final Pokemon for today. Let's just see how this one goes, because this could be brutal. Now, Farfetch'd has one massive advantage, that it's already running the move Swords Dance. That could be its saving grace in this, because if it can just set up the Swords Dances, it may be able to use Headbutt and Peck and even Mud Slap in order to get through key opponents. It's going to be very, very luck-based though. Let's go to the Rocket Hideout first and just get through this section as quick as we possibly can to get extra levels. And then we're just going to have to start our gauntlet. Like, in some senses, Chuck is probably the easiest of the gym leaders here, but fighting type moves are going to deal neutral damage, so I'm just not super confident to go straight there. I think we should get the extra levels first. So we do get to the end of the Rocket Hideout here, but it wasn't perfectly consistent. When a Zubat confuses you after you've used the move Swords Dance, you do more damage to yourself when you hit yourself in confusion, because you use your own attack stat to calculate the damage, and that caused us to knock ourselves out a couple times. So we have a couple resets getting here based on the last executive in this section. Still, we've managed to get through without any other major issues, so I think this is pretty reasonable, but let's see how the last executive goes. Here against the Arbok, I'm going to lead off with a Swords Dance just to be safe. Now let's go for Headbutt, which just one-shots there. Murkrow comes out next, we Headbutt it and get the one-hitter, and now we've got Gloom. I'm going to Peck. Peck and Headbutt are technically the same power here in the hands of a normal flying-type Pokemon when it's super effective, so that's perfectly fine. We get through with no issues. Now we have to decide how to route. I will try Pryce one time just because the Icy Wind, if it doesn't lower our speed, I think will just give us a chance to set up the Swords Dance. Then we may be able to just one-hit KO things with Headbutt, but let's see if that's actually the case or not. Either way, I think it's going to be a much easier fight than going to take on Chuck or Jasmine at this point, since Pryce just has so many ways to punt on his battle. So I think that's going to be the strategy here. Still, we're basically dealing with type weaknesses everywhere here, so we're just going to have to see if it actually works out. So Pryce attempt number one, let's go for the Swords Dance right here. It goes Icy Wind. We do get the speed drop, which is kind of bad, but now let's see what Headbutt does. It's a one-hit KO there. Dugong hits Aurora Beam and does a lot of damage, and this is a two-hitter, so we would need two Swords Dances here to one-hit KO sweep. Still, let's just set up a couple times to see if we can get a run where we don't get the Icy Wind with the speed drop. So this time, two Swords Dances. We knock that one out. We're going to be faster than Dugong this time. We knock it out in a single hit. Now Piloswine also is a one-hit KO. So as soon as you manage to get through without having a speed drop, you're basically good to go here. Now we can learn the move Agility. And when we did the Stick Farfetch'd previously, Agility was useful in some spots if I recall correctly. So I'm actually going to go ahead and learn this move. I'm going to learn it over Peck right now because I think that's our best play. It will at least allow us to guarantee that we outspeed things later on. And honestly, Swords Dance plus Agility might be what we need in some really tough spots. Obviously, we can also learn Fly after we get through Chuck, and it's not like we need a flying type move for Jasmine, so I think this is perfectly fine. I mean, Peck, when it's super effective, is just the same power as Headbutt, the hands of our Farfetch'd anyway, so it doesn't really make any difference for getting that move. Like, I think Paris is the only Pokemon that we would ever encounter that is actually 4 times weak to flying, and they're not going to be any pairs for the rest of this run, at least not until that random trainer north of Cerulean and Kanto. So by then we can simply use Fly and get the ranges that we need. So I think this is the way to go. But now we've made it down to Cyanwood. Let's see how we do against the Black Belt bros here. I'm going to set up one Swords Dance first and then go into Headbutt here on the Hitmonlee. That gets the one hit KO there. Now on the Hitmonchan, let's just stick with the same Headbutt here. It's going to be a 2-hitter. So it's Swords Dance and then Headbutt or just Headbutt. Basically, it's the same result either way. So now let's just get through the other randos in here and make our way to Chucky Boy. So it's time for our first attempt on Chuck. I think my strategy will be to set up a couple of Swords Dances first and then just go for Headbutt, and let's just see if that's enough. So Chuck attempt number 1, we go Swords Dance. He karate chops, Swords Dance again. He's just karate chopping on us. Now Headbutt one-shots the Primeape though. We're also faster than Poliwrath and we get the one-hit KO, so that's perfectly fine. We beat Chuck on the first attempt. So now we have to make our way over to Jasmine, and my strategy here is going to be pretty simple. I will not learn Fly with my Farfetch'd just yet. I want to keep that Mud Slap that's currently on my moveset. So we'll just go and heal up very quickly here. And then my strategy is going to be to use the Paralyzed Cure Berry to allow me to set up one Swords Dance at least on the first Magnemite. Then we'll knock that one out hopefully with the Mud Slap. Then we'll finish our setup after that and hopefully just sweep through the rest of the team. But let's see if it actually works. And of course, we forgot to pick up the secret potion. Still, I'm just going to use Game Hook to give it to me because I don't want to backtrack. And now Jasmine will go back to her gym and we're ready to go fight her. Let's see how our Farfetch'd actually does here. We don't have the stick to get the high critical hit chance is the main thing, but I still think that maybe the Swords Dance strat just on its own will be enough. We'll give the Paralyzed Cure Berry here and let's just see how it goes. So Jasmine attempt number 1. I set up Swords Dance turn 1. She misses the first Thunder Wave. That's perfectly fine with me. I'm going to set up a second, and she misses even a second Thunder Wave. So we set up all 3 Swords Dances. Now we get to recover with the Paralyzed Cure Berry. Mud Slap one-shots the first Magnemite. It one-shots the second Magnemite. Now we're to Steelix. We Mud Slap, which did pretty decent damage. Of course, we're going to need some accuracy luck here because this looks like it's going to be a 5-hit KO, barring a crit. Still, we're getting her accuracy down. If she doesn't hit the Iron Tail, we will be able to get through this one. She hits right when we would have knocked her out the next turn. Still, this strategy will clearly work. It's just going to take a lot of luck. This time we only get 2 of our Swords Dances set up on the first Magnemite though. We're going to just have to knock out the 2 Magnemites. Now I'm yet again going to go in for the accuracy strats on the Steelix first, hoping to reduce its accuracy and prevent the Iron Tail. But once it hits Screech, a single Iron Tail will knock us out there. Still, that's pretty much the best that we've got here. So we're just going to have to go back to Steelix again, hoping to get the accuracy luck again on this one. And only getting hit by one of those Iron Tails is going to be pretty luck-based, but that's really the best that we can go for with the accuracy strats here, and then just hope that maybe Headbutt can allow us to get through the rest of the way. Obviously, the luck to get a couple of Thunder Wave misses is what we really want to get from those first 2 Magnemites, because that will give us the best chance of setting up all the Swords Dances and actually getting through here. So this time we get the luck to set up all of the Swords Dances on the first Magnemite. So this is as strong as we're gonna get here, and now we just need the accuracy luck. She Hyper Potions and then she hits the Iron Tail, so we lose. Once again, we've gotten all the accuracy drops on the Steelix. We get a nice critical hit Headbutt there. And then we finally feint that Pokemon. It took a ton of attempts, 26 tries to get through Jasmine. It's definitely not consistent. We could have gone for the max power return there to deal more damage, though I think the Headbutt strategy is better. But ultimately, it's just because of Swords Dance that we're able to get through there. Of course, we could drop rare candies to try to make that one more reasonable. But honestly, we get to set up one Swords Dance every single time just because we have the Paralyzed Cure Berry on. and that guarantees that we can one-hit KO the Magnemites. So if we get that 25% chance for them to miss, then that's perfectly fine. We just get to set up an extra Swords Dance on those occasions. But really what you're going for is to get all the accuracy drops on the Steelix, then set up your Swords Dances there, and then knock it out from there. So yeah, definitely not consistent, but Farfetch'd is still alive and in the running. I would say just barely though. It's not a situation where you're like, oh yeah, it's Farfetch'd, it's amazing. No, it's just scraping through. Honestly, I would say that any Pokemon more luck-based than that, we're just giving up on because it's not going to work. So with that section done, we're now up to 47 Pokemon legitimately passing through the Jasmine section of the game. Like I said, Farfetch'd just barely scraped through. Slowpoke just barely scraped through. Golem absolutely just surprised me in this one. I'm so happy that it's still here, but that did not feel like it should work. It did. We'll take it. The fact that we had Magnitude was really the kicker there that made it go through. We've added a bunch of Pokemon to that OPTMs column though, so we're definitely seeing more and more Pokemon struggle. Don't take this as like, oh, we're not getting more fails, which means that this is easy. It's not. The difficulty that I feel as a player going through this section is much higher than what we looked at on Whitney, what we looked at on Morty. This feels honestly like some of these are a grind to get through, but they are possible within certain amounts of reasonable luck. Though I would argue that with the Slowpoke and with the Magnemite, and even with that Farfetch'd, I think you guys could make a pretty good argument to me in the comments that for practical purposes, they probably have actually failed, even though I did manage to get them through. Still, I think eventually these Pokemon are gonna have to hit walls. They're just gonna have to find some spot where they can no longer progress, but we'll just have to see if that's actually the case or not. Next time, we have a ton of new challengers coming in that are going to be very interesting. I've skewed the selection just a little bit because it is October and I wanted some Halloween themed Pokemon, but we're going to be coming in next time with the Doduo Dodrio. We've got the Dugong, Muck, Cloyster, and then we get into our kind of Halloween themed ones, at least in my opinion. We've got Haunter, Gengar, Hypno I feel like could be kind of Halloween-y. It looks like a Halloween Pokemon. Murkrow's coming in, Misdreavus is coming in, and then we'll get Girafarig in there just for some good fun. And these are going to be very interesting Pokemon. Obviously, the ghosts have the advantage that when we get to Chuck's gym, we're immune to fighting type moves and normal type moves, so we're going to get through those pretty easily, I think. We'll have to see what they do against Jasmine, but honestly, they shouldn't be too bad in this section. The dual water and ice typing is going to be very interesting since we're going to be weak against the fighting type, neutral to the steel type, but still weak to electric. So if we're not one-hit KOing there against those Magnemites, we would be in trouble, but I think we'll get through just fine. Doduo might be kind of sus in the next section, as could that Murkrow, honestly. I'm not sure if Murkrow's going to get enough coverage to actually get through here. I know it's fairly fast, but I don't think it learns enough strong moves, and I don't think even Stab, Hidden Power, Dark is gonna be enough in some spots. We'll just have to see. And then we've got Girafarig, who also doesn't really have good moves for the Jasmine section, I don't think, but we'll double check that when we get there. Anyway, I predict that a lot of these Pokemon will be able to get through the next section, but tell me what you think in the comments down below. We'll also throw in a couple of the member picks next time. Obviously, we've got to get that Ghastly in there. Because we've got Muck, we have to do Wheezing. I don't think we've done Wheezing yet. We'll also have to get Tentacruel in on the action. So 3 more member picks coming in next time, which I think will be incredibly interesting to see, especially because that Ghastly's not going to learn any elemental punches that will get it through this section at least. And Wheezing and Tentacruel could be very interesting, but I think they will get enough moves. I believe Wheezing can learn Fire Blast, and that's probably all it needs. Tentacruel, obviously being a water type, can probably get through as well, but we'll just find out in the next episode. Anyway, I want to apologize to you guys, this one's a little bit late coming out. I'm still just kind of a little behind schedule from last week, so thanks for bearing with me, and we will see you in the next one. I've already got the Zapdos with Bright Powder done and ready to edit, so we will have that out next week, and then something special for near the Halloween season. So I hope you guys enjoy that. I will see you in the next one. Later.